getting set up. I don't know what the heck is going on with Insta. Being weird. Yep, still isn't. I didn't get it. Crazy thing. Getting ready. Hit that like.
Cash. Green. I mean green cash.
I mean, do you want to help the show or do you want to help the show? Come on. Do you want to help the show? Do you want to help the show? Help it out. Good God, y'all. Yes. All right. They don't like gas, that's for sure.
They don't like the gas.
They don't like the gas.
He can do things with his tongue you wouldn't believe it.
Yikes. Yeah, all right. Come on, everybody. All right, we're getting ready. Okay, 30 seconds. Screw it. I want to go now. Oh crap! My other lights aren't on. This is what happens when I get ahead of myself. Ah. All right, and then this thing turn off because that just is unfortunate. And of course, one moment you will not be able to hear this. See, because I
tried, but some home accessories didn't respond.
I know, I have them unplugged. It's fine. It's just I had to turn these guys on. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Hello. You know what? I should be on Instagram right now, but it's just not working. Like, it won't feed through. I don't know what's happening. I got the credentials are all plugged in right. Everything is right except what's wrong. Drives me crazy. So hopefully I'll get that remedied. Sometime. Oh my gosh. How you made a 3D model of your logo, making some visuals for you, man. Oh, VJ Kodak, thank you so much. That's awesome. Contact CSL for how to get it to me and all that kind of stuff. It's funny because I was just thinking about this. Hold on. Let's go to chat room. Sorry, there you are. If I may. I gotta say, I've been getting deep into like 3D printing and Arduino stuff and studying what I've been studying about, like the drone making process and all that kind of stuff, because I have some ideas about where shit is headed. And to me, it's like it helps to dive into the tech to know what's possible, what's probable, what's cost effective, what's outside the realm of current possibilities. And in the world, I gotta say, in the world of 3D printing, it's not even on the high end. And VJ Kodak, you will probably, I don't know if you can back me up on this one, perhaps. But the advances in 3D printing have all seemingly been, and I'm sorry to nerd out right out of the gate, but I am wearing a Real Genius t-shirt, so fuck off. Is that the advances in 3D printing are now into things like carbon fiber and metal. You know, the cost of doing like metal 3D printing in the home is coming down to the point where it's really within the realm of possibility for even somebody with a minor shop or that kind of stuff. The maxed out hobbyist, right? Okay, it's in the realm of how much a computer costs to build, right? Or buy, even like a gaming computer, some zone like that, right? And yes, it's true. I was named after a computer, so I have a privilege where I could just talk about this shit at one time. But the interesting thing is that all the advances in the hardware we're talking about that don't actually reflect on the drone possibilities and the stuff that people are making for war, because it's the lighter, cheaper, faster stuff which accelerates behind the top end stuff that's getting cheaper and easier to make at an accelerated rate. So while yes, Jay Leno used to have this CNC machine in his garage where he could fabricate parts for engine pieces for engines that are no longer made, right? Cool. Now, hobbyists can do that shit. Then, and that's like metal, grinding essentially. It's not additive manufacturing. It's reductive. You take metal away, you take a chunk of metal, grind it into an engine piece. Now you can actually print shit using metal. Now, will it be as strong as, an engine block has to be? No. But is it capable of being a fabricated piece for metal blades for a fucking drone. Yes. And the thing is, you don't even need that shit. You don't even need that level of it, because just like what would be effectively a consumer 3D printer right now, you could do all that stuff. So anyways, I'm just saying, I've been diving into the possibility of that. And like between an Arduino and what do you need? Like either a board that does 4 like voltage fluctuators on it, or just the separate pieces themselves for each rotor. As long as it's talking to a board and the board is programmed with basically whatever rudimentary quadcopter fucking software. Shit, I could with the right parts, I could put one of those fuckers together in 24 hours right now, and I'm not even trying. I can only imagine what the breakdown is on shit when your life depends on it. The fuck out of here. The irony that, and this is going to be the thing, at some point, an $8 piece of gear is going to take $1 million piece of equipment down, and there are already equivalents of that right now. And that's that. That's all. And that's all she wrote. But then we get into people. What is this? There's something. It's a hair, I think, or it's something on my shirt, or that's tickling my arm, and it's driving me crazy. Anyway, I'm fine. So, yeah, I am ever go to Micro Center. Is that a website for like this kind of gear? No, I haven't yet, but I'm totally interested. Hal, as long as we're both pretending I know what we're talking about, we're going to be cool. Okay, good. Yes, it won't take much. It's an old computer store. Gotcha. No, 3D printed lever would be nice. Well, you're not far from that. We'll see how, once you start, they start being able to print semi-solids, you're going to be, you know what I'm saying? Because you got it, the gelatinous parts of human beings are the parts that are the most fun. So it's building a skeleton's not difficult. It's all the soft parts that that won't be 3D printed for a while. We're talking about vacuum molding, let's just say, right? Silicon vacuum molds. And that we're a way off from, but boy, it's coming. No pun intended. All right, let's get into the show today, because how do you solve a problem? Oh, god damn it. Why does this always do this? Hello, people. There's Luis, by the way. He's been a member for 33 months. Thanks for that, Luis. I don't know why this fucker keeps defaulting to my other monitor, and I don't know. It's this. What's happening? All right. I'm fine. I'm going to hold it together. These things are not going to get to me. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's all small stuff. Unless it's a virus, which is very small and can sometimes make you sweat. The irony. All right. This is Maria Bartiromo did an interview with Trump, and they had to bleep out him saying bullshit. And the funniest thing about it to me is, I saw the little pieces, because I have not watched this interview, but the little clip that I did see where they bleeped out him saying bullshit, he says, I think, he's so bullshit, which is, again, not how that word works. Yeah? All right. Hi, good morning. By the way, this reminds me of the opening to Strangers with Candy. Her theme music. Do 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 do. Hi, I'm Jerry Blank. I'm a 44-year-old crack whore that's starting over and learning all these lessons over again.
And we begin this Sunday morning with my exclusive interview with President Donald Trump, with 275 days until the presidential election.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, am I going to have hand click this to jump ahead? It's, okay, here we go. Here we are.
The backdrop, all part of...
I'm here. Ozembic. That's the answer to your question.
The reason President Trump...
Swear to God, he's looking... Oh, I got to move this down, so sorry. He's looking pretty haggard these days. It's always rough when somebody big drops a shit ton of weight, and he's clearly, they're pumping him with Ozempic, or he's just not eating and he's sleeping very poorly, and a man of his age, not good.
Trump believes he will be locking up the GOP nomination for president very soon.
Right, but that's, of course, he always believes everything, even when it doesn't happen, he still believes it happened. By the way, we're going to jump around too, because if I get tired of this bullshit and we keep hearing the same stuff, I have other clips as well. So hit that like and subscribe and send out the thing and hit the like early so we can get into this.
I don't know what the timing is, but I know we're leading in every single state. We are going to win Nevada very easily.
Right, because there's a caucus and a primary. That makes sense. That, if anything sums up the modern Republican Party, it's that they were worried that Trump might lose the primary, so they decided to have a caucus instead where they could bully people. That was his idea. And now they just have both. And the worry right now, apparently, just so you know, is that Nikki Haley is in the primary, Trump's in the caucus. He's going to win the caucus, which is what gives him the actual delegates. But she might get more votes in the primary than he gets in the caucus, and that's awkward. So they're kind of, it's just so stupid.
It'll be next week. We have a situation where they forgot to apply, I guess, for Indiana. You don't run and not apply for Indiana. Great state.
Apply for Indiana? You mean file in Indiana? Apply for? Apply for. I guess it's an application, but still.
And so we won Indiana, or will, and we've won.
We or might or could or something.
And just about everything we've touched.
Just about everything we've touched, and then we cut to Maria crossing her legs.
Had record numbers in, as you know, big records in New Hampshire, and Iowa was the largest percentage anyone's ever won by.
Yes, but shit turnout. I mean, this is
so we're having tremendous victories, and
we're having tremendous victories as a former president who's running again, who lost last time, who should run unopposed, but apparently is shaving off a little under half of the fucking vote.
I would think that it would be soon. I would certainly think so, and we're leading Biden in virtually every poll.
Let's talk about the general.
Nope. Not anymore.
General election. Assuming you get the nomination, it's mid-March, and you've locked up that nomination. How are you going to attract independents?
Well, that's a good question, Maria. I'm going to put. What do you think the odds are? So no betting, because obviously there's legal reasons. Maybe on Twitch you can bet. I don't know how any of that shit works. Can we just? How many of you think he's actually going to answer in a way that would attract independent voters and women?
Anti-Trumpers. Do you have a plan?
So I don't.
What do you think the actual answer?
I don't know if they're really anti-Trumpers. They want security. They want safety. They want a great economy. They want a strong border. The border's a disaster. Nobody's ever seen a border like this. Look, you talk about it all the time. Nobody.
Oh my gosh, Peter just dropped 50 YouTube subs. Good Lord, thank you so much. Who is it on 3D printing? I'm asking YouTube chat. No one's. Well, it was. Is it VX Codec? I'm so scrolled behind. It said that pop back in. CSL's asking about it. Okay, that's amazing though. Thank you so much. If you're on YouTube and down near the bottom, you can accept a membership with where the super chat button is.
Covers it better. But you.
Oh my gosh! And Texas Paul and Mrs. Texas Paul are going to be at the Nerd Halen show in Texas in March. Fucking awesome.
You see what's going on. We're letting millions of people. I think the number is going to be 18 million people by the time.
No, it's not. It wouldn't be that even if we kept all the 3 million people that have shown up in the last 3 years at the fucking border. And we're not even getting anywhere close to that. How the fuck, how in the ever-loving fuck do you see 3.2 million encounters at the border and only like 148,000 in New York and 120,000 in LA, and that, like, add them all up and it's still less than 500,000 in the nation overall, which means we have ejected like 2.8 million people.
He gets out.
Wow.
I think 18 million people, that's bigger than
She's like, wow. Yeah, there's nothing to back that up, but keep saying it, dum-dum.
New York State.
I'm gonna get to that,
Yeah.
but
I'm going to get to that, but thanks for jumping into something I'm not even, yes.
your critics who are with Nikki Haley said that they're not going to vote for you regardless of you getting the nomination. Do you have a plan to win over those independents or anti-Trumpers that are with Nikki Haley?
So, second time asking the same fucking question. Thanks, Catherine. I love this shirt too.
Well, I'm winning every election by tremendous numbers, so.
Yeah, that's not the point, dum-dum. We know you're beating her by that, but you're not. None of her voters are coming with you. And if you lose any of them, you lose the election because you have to get all of the Republicans registered in the country. You have to have all of them. And you have to add a major chunk of independents to just get even with Biden. And you're nowhere near that.
She had a great chance in New Hampshire because Democrats voted for her, and she still lost by 12 or 13.
That's not the point, dum-dum. You're supposed to get those people who voted for her over to you. That's the fucking question. This isn't you don't have to rehash New Hampshire again, you fucking asshole. This is so stupid. And you know what? I don't want him to change his answer. That's the irony. I don't want him to say anything even remotely close to like a bridge in this. I'm happy with him being a complete fuck up, but this is hilarious.
Points. She had that was the one place that she had a chance because Democrats are stupidly allowed to vote in the Republican primary. And
no, they're not. You have to be undeclared or you have to register as a Republican to do it. You can be a Democrat and you could do that if you know that's how it's going to go and you don't have a, you don't have a real primary and you don't have to worry about fucking Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson actually doing anything.
The independents also. So they voted, and we beat her by a lot. Again, I got the most votes.
You dumb motherfucker. I'm so glad he's an idiot. I'm so glad he's an idiot. Because Maria Bartiromo's got to be just like this sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach right now. Like, this dumb motherfucker is embarrassed by her even having there even being a number two that's in second place
in the history of that primary. And the same thing in Iowa. She was really fighting. She spent far more money than I spent. She's got all these characters giving her a lot of money just in the hope.
You made a comment.
Edit. Look at that cut. Look at this fucking cut. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you massive edit number one. This is Maria Bartiromo's crowd, Fox News, Sunday morning's editor just went, bleh.
And the same thing in Iowa. She was really fighting. She spent far more money than I spent. She's got all these characters giving her a lot of money just in the hope.
You made a comment.
Just in the hope, cut.
Recently that you'd be a dictator for day one. And you said that you would close the border and drill. What specifically did you mean by that?
Well, I think it was with Sean Hannity, and we were having fun, and I said...
Yeah, we just have fun. By the way, he said it before that. Sean Hannity brought it back up.
I'm going to be a dictator, because he asked me, are you really going to be a dictator? I said, absolutely, I'm going to be a dictator for one day. I didn't say from day one.
Did you mean executive orders? What did that mean,
no.
is what I'm saying?
It said very simple. I'm going to close the border, and we're going to drill, baby, drill. That's all. And then after that, I'm not going to be a dictator. Now, that was said in jest, and most people, I'm surprised you asked that question, but most people say it was said, if you run it along, you'd say, and after that, what I'm saying.
If you run it along. What does that mean? Anybody? If you run it along? If you take what I said and you run it along. Is that a fucking sentence anywhere?
Saying is that we're going to immediately drill, baby drill. We're going to...
Also, how? You're going to nationalize the oil? What are we, fucking Venezuela now, you commie bastard?
Get energy down. And the other thing is we're going to have a strong border.
There's nothing, by the way, there is nothing holding back the oil companies from drilling on the wells they already have. And they're at fucking capacity. And even if you were like sent them into Anwar, it'd be 5 years before those wells were fucking productive, if they even are at all. And by that time, we reached peak oil in 2017.
Close up the border, because no country is sustainable. When you look at what's happening to our country with people from jails and prisons, people...
Sorry. Jails and prisons, which obviously... The difference being that prisons, people are convicted, jails, people are awaiting trial, so they might be innocent. So some of the people might be wrongfully convicted. So he doesn't make that distinction. I'm just really...
From mental institutions and insane asylums coming...
Both, obviously. And the difference there is that if you're in a mental institution, you're mentally unwell. But if you're in an insane asylum, you've graduated to fucking nuts.
in. Our country is being destroyed.
Well, I mean, Mr. President, the reason that I asked the question is because
for the third
your
time,
critics say that that's the worry, that it's the end of democracy, it's a dictator. And I wanted you to explain what it meant. In other words, does it mean executive orders? Are you planning to use more executive orders this time than last time? Would you use an executive order to close the border?
There's nothing wrong with executive orders. Biden's using them all the time.
Right.
I mean, to me, Biden is bad for democracy because he's incompetent. And frankly, you take a look at what's happening to our country. Our country is being destroyed before.
Yeah, destroyed right before our very eyes. I mean, honestly, don't go outside. No one. I mean, not that you could afford gas to actually drive anywhere, but if you drove someplace, you'd probably just get sent home in a coffin anyways. Stay inside and simply go to Truth Social and just read whatever he says, because it's the window to the world.
Our very eyes. Of course, I'm not going to be doing that. I will say this.
Of course you're not. Wait. Of course, I'm not going to be doing that. Run that by me again, dummy.
Orders this time than last time. Would you use an executive order to close the border?
There's nothing wrong with executive orders. Biden's using them all the time.
Right.
I mean, to me, Biden is bad for democracy because he's incompetent. And frankly, you take a look at what's happening to our country. Our country is being destroyed before our very eyes. Of course, I'm not going to be doing that. I will say this.
Okay, in fairness to this dipshit, can I just say, for the record, if I may, ladies and gentlemen, when he's answering some of these things and he's got a couple, like some of these sentences are just fucking nonsensical, like, of course I'm not going to be doing that, when he just said, yes, I would be using executive orders and there's nothing wrong with that. And it might be a throwback to the question about being a dictator. They might have even cut something out and not given a fuck that it makes some of this sound out of context. That said, do I think that's what's happening? No. I really think he's just rolling back blather and answering, giving addendums to sentences he said in his head that never made it out of his fucking mouth.
4 years, we had no wars. We defeated.
We were in Afghanistan the whole fucking time. Fucking Syria. There was fighting going on there. Like, what do you mean we had no wars? And also, we don't have these wars. The Ukraine war is not our war. We're helping. And same thing with Israel. There were missiles coming out of Gaza every week while he was in office. Thousands of them during his presidency.
ISIS. I knocked out the biggest terrorists in the world.
ISIS also, by the way, is who killed the people at the Soleimani gravesite, and also they're the people who attacked the Afghans on the civilian side of the airport during our extraction to try and stop the brain drain. I think my opinion is that the Taliban let one of them through because they wanted to stop people from evacuating, make them too scared to go to the airport, and that's what killed our soldiers. The irony is that technically he's on the side of ISIS, who's attacking Iran in this. I mean, if he's back in office, seriously, he'll make a call at one point that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Then ISIS is on our side in this situation, and if you presented that to him, he'd probably fucking faint.
We had the best economy ever. I cut taxes.
No, we didn't. Our economy is far better now.
I cut regulations at a level.
Also, regulation cutting is not impressive. You want to update regulations. You don't want to cut them. And if it means eliminating some regulations because you've got a new one that fits what's actually going on, motherfucker, his regulation cutting is why you had the Palestine fucking train wreck.
I had the biggest tax cut ever. I had the biggest regulation cut ever. We had the greatest economy in the...
Again, bragging about it without telling any of the regulations he's fucking talking about means that they just fucking ripped shit out. Like, he just made a bunch. I guarantee that we're going to find out later that they got rid of some regulations that affected, like, hiding your wealth in real estate, and he's just fucking patting himself on the back, or his buddies thanked him for it after he left office.
History of our country, we never did better.
Yes, we did. We are technically doing better now. We have the best unemployment we've had in fucking 50 years.
Never did.
Wage growth is higher.
Better. And all of the people that say, oh, never Trump, they don't even know why they're saying it. We did a job.
Look at that edit. Fuck. See that? They don't even know why they're saying it. Now, this is Maria Bartiromo's editors trying to protect Trump from himself. Watch this. They don't even know why they're doing it. Cut.
First in the world. We had the best economy ever. I cut taxes. I cut regulations at a level. I had the biggest tax cut ever. I had the biggest regulation cut ever. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We never did better. We never did better.
Watch.
And all of the people that say, oh, never Trump, they don't even know why they're saying it. We did a job.
See that? Did you see that? Now, good on them for cutting it from an angle so you don't have a stagger cut like some sort of like YouTuber.
That very few people have ever done. In fact, we're getting credit for it. We rebuilt the military. We created Space Force, which is now turning out to be very essential. I said it's going to end up being maybe our most important force because it's all going out to space now. If you look.
No, it isn't. War is not going out to space now. It is not all being fought in fucking space. And ironically enough, the Chinese satellite system that Space Force was most useful in dealing with because they had, there were some accusations the Chinese government was like crashing their fucking satellites into ours and shit like that, which is what Space Force would be like, batting those fuckers away. The irony is that they're falling out of the sky. They're in a degrading orbit anyways because they're really poorly made.
And we are now leading Russia and China. We were way behind when I came. We had no Space Force. People thought it was a joke when I created it. Now they're saying, wow, what a great job you did.
I want to go back to immigration.
By the way, it existed. It just didn't have a name. It had always been there. They just named it Space Force. And
Walk us through your plan for immigration because
yeah. What's your plan?
Is it as easy as going back to the security that you had in place, like the Remain in Mexico and all these other?
By the way, 10 million plus migrants have illegally crossed the U.S. border under the Biden administration. No, they haven't. I don't know where the fuck they're getting that, unless they're counting like Obama and Biden together. So they're trying to stack 15 years, like 12, 13 years.
The things that Joe Biden overturned. There are 8 to 10 million illegals in the country right now on Joe Biden's watch. So what do you do with them?
No, they're not. There are not.
Are you going to deport them all?
Well, you're going to have to deport a lot of them. It's not sustainable. And now you look.
And by the way, it's so fucking sustainable. That's the irony. We still got 9 million unfilled jobs in this fucking country. And there are people hoofing it to get here. And they are actually the best and the brightest in a lot of these places. Put aside the manual laborers who are clearly coming here because they can get a job and a living wage and all that kind of stuff eventually. But all the middle class Chinese people and the middle class Africans who are trying to make it here are the kind of people who start businesses. They're not here to do manual labor. They're literally here to actually create companies and the like. That's how they can afford the cost of getting all the way to Nicaragua or one of these places and then transporting up and taking another plane and then walking the rest of the way.
Look, these countries are very smart. I know every one of the leaders of the countries for the most part. The presidents, the dictators, I know them all. I know the kings, the queens, I know them all.
I guarantee he wouldn't be able to pick them out of a lineup if they weren't wearing their outfit, whatever he associates with them, with the exception of Kim Jong-un and Putin, because both of them have had a thumb up his ass, and so he knows them pretty intimately. But the rest of people, he couldn't pick Macron out of a fucking lineup right now if he didn't have a French flag behind him and they pointed him in that direction. Guaranteed. He calls the chairman of the GOP in Iowa when he was there, and New Hampshire. It was New Hampshire, that's right. When he was in New Hampshire, he just called him chairman. He didn't even know his fucking name. He's the GOP chairman. He's your party's chairman in the first primary the country has for your party, and you don't know his fucking name. You just go, chairman? Isn't that right, chairman? Hey, chairman. And then he sees a guy in the back, and he's like, oh, that guy plays football. Hi, football.
These are smart people. These are streetwise people.
No, they're not. They're fucking idiots. Putin's a fucking maniac. Kim Jong-un's an idiot. And if his family didn't run the place and he could just order people to kill people on his behalf, he'd be dead a long time ago. And Xi Jinping is a fucking idiot. His own people are embarrassed by the fact they have to put out books that are supposedly on his reading list that Xi Jinping has never fucking read. You're not a genius if people compare you to Winnie the Pooh and you want them thrown in jail. You chicken shit.
it makes sense that they're taking people out and sending them up in caravans to the United States. And
okay, by the way, he keeps bringing this shit up too. Trump wanted to do this. Let's just be abundantly clear. Trump and all these people are like, why don't we just take our fucking criminals and put them on a fucking plane and drop them off in the middle of the countries we don't like? I guarantee it. I guarantee it came up at a couple, meetings that they had when he was in the White House. Like, why don't we just take all the like crazy people and homeless people and stuff and kind of round them up, and then nobody knows where they are anyways. We'll just drop them off in these countries we don't like. We'll fly a bunch of them in, like below radar, just herd them out of the fucking back of the plane like zombies, and then just take off, and then just let them wreak fucking havoc. And everybody was like, yeah, that'd be great, haha. And he's like, seriously? And they're like, no, we can't do that. That's impossible. If anybody comes looking for him, or one of these governments goes, hey, we checked, this dude's got a hospital wristband from Pennsylvania, we'll get in deep shit. And he was like, well, we'll just pretend everybody else.
It's not just South America. It's from Africa, from Asia, from all over the world.
Yeah, and China. No, China's not dumping their crazy people in 3 other countries to try and find their way here. There's no way you can expect that insane people that were in a mental institution or an insane asylum in China were dropped off in fucking Guatemala and they made it all the way here. It's just not, it's ridiculous. Fuck are they doing? How do you get a person who's in an insane asylum? Let's understand what it takes. How crazy you have to be institutionalized. And then they're going to drop you off in the middle of South America, and you're just going to, like, what are they going to do? Shove a compass up your ass that gives you a zap until you're heading north?
I mean, from all over the world. From China, there are 28,000 people in the last few months. 28,000. That's what's he doing? Building an army? And they were mostly men.
No, they weren't.
Almost all men.
No, they weren't.
From the age of 18 to 25. So what's
yes, roofing age.
that all about?
But are you talking?
So what's that all about? Yeah, so middle class, mid-income men. There are no wives over there. Like, there's a bunch of reasons why, as a dude, talk about being able to find your way north. Let me tell you, if my country was running out of ladies, I like, my dick would pull me across the deserts of Mexico towards the United States like Ash's hand in Evil Dead. Just
Talking about mass deportation, what do you do with the 8 to 10 million people already here?
Okay.
yeah. All right. She's expecting a sane answer because she's fucking crazy.
Dwight Eisenhower, believe it or not, you don't think of him as being a tough president or a great president. He was actually a very good president.
Yes, people do. In general, Jesus Christ. Have you ever seen Stripes, asshole? How's it going, Eisenhower? I mean, come on. Guy was he was one of our few military presidents.
He was very strong on deportation because a lot of people were coming into our country illegally. And he started a big mass deportation. He dropped them very close to the border, and they came back. Then he dropped them 2,000 miles away, and they didn't come back.
Yeah, they largely got killed. We've passed a lot of treaties since then, by the way.
We cannot allow scenes like I saw in New York 2 days ago, where policemen are being beat up by gangs of illegal immigrants, in that case from Venezuela, Honduras. We can't allow that. And these.
Okay, by the way, that video has been making us, has been circulated a lot. A bunch of dudes, like some cops were trying to beat up. There was an altercation, I think, outside a club is what actually started it. Some of the people involved were undocumented. They've arrested like 5 people. 2 of the people that were undocumented, The rest of them were locals, naturalized, or had been living in the country for a while. So they were hanging out they were in a crowd with Americans. Like permanent residents, and so yeah, so like that group was not all like it wasn't a migrant gang. It's just this is part of the story they've been telling.
The kids that are fighters, they were not babies. They were knocking the hell out of our policemen. We can't let this happen. These are tough people. So
also only because the police didn't open fire on them. The cops that were being beat up, by the way, showed immense restraint in this situation by not drawing down and shooting some of these fucking guys. Because I got news for you. If you're outnumbered 2-1, you're going to be hard pressed to find a police officer that doesn't draw their sidearm, because if one of them gets around behind you and they get a hold of your gun and they incapacitate you, they're going to kill you and then kill somebody else with your gun. When the number gets to 5, all bets are off, and neither of these cops did that. So kudos to them.
The heads of these countries are smart.
You did.
No, they're not, and I don't know what the fuck he's saying.
They're not sending the people that are doing a great job.
This is, by the way, he's revisiting 2016. They aren't sending their best. They're sending murderers and rapists and all that. Right.
That they love in the country. They're sending people, for the most part, that they don't want. And they're putting
Also, they're not sending them. These are people who are escaping. These are people who are getting the fuck out.
them into caravans. I know that because they tried it with me, but I turned back the caravans. Look, I had
No, he didn't.
the safest border in the history of our country.
No, COVID did.
I built 561 miles of wall, and that was good. But I also
No, he built 42 miles of wall, and the access road necessary to erect the barrier, it has allowed these folks to travel further to the edge of the actual wall and walk around it because it's private land. You can't build it on private land. You can't build it on native land. So the wall had to be erected all the way to where it stops at native land or it stops at private land. And what the fuck happens? To build a structure that big, you got to have workers on both sides of it, putting the fucking thing in. Well, how do you do that? You have to, where there's a cliff right here where the old barrier used to be, you got to build up the dirt or flatten the whole thing out and move it this way, which, for people in the cheap seats, cedes ground to Mexico, right? Because it moves American land to the other side of the wall, so therefore it might technically be the United States, but we're not going to do anything about that. And then it creates a wall all the way down to the end of the road and all the way back.
got Mexico to give us 28,000 soldiers.
This bullshit. On the southern border, when most of the people are not Mexican that are crossing, they're on Mexico's southern border. Here's an idea, dumb fuck. Why didn't you put those Mexican soldiers at their southern border?
Free of charge.
Oh, because he's dumb.
Now,
free of charge. It wasn't free of charge. You threatened a tariff and you slowed trade.
Told them that we were not going to be happy if you don't do it. We're going to put tariffs on your cars and everything else that you sell.
They're not your cars. They're American cars being made down there, dumbass.
Us, which is a lot.
What's the Mexican car company that sells in the United States? Anybody? I'm dead serious. When he says your cars, does he think anybody goes, oh, fucking Mexican cars, they're just eating our lunch?
If you don't do it, and they did it. They gave us 28,000 soldiers, and we had the best border.
They didn't give them to us, by the way. We didn't have a slave exchange, you dumb fuck. That's always weird, too.
Border we ever had. To this day, I had the best border we've ever had. Now we have...
Because of COVID, during COVID, when no one was going anywhere. Even fucking people, even asylum seekers were like, I'm probably safer here.
We have the worst border probably in the history of the world.
I understand. I'm told that the Chinese are paying $35,000 a head, $50,000 a head to come to the southern border. They're paying the drug cartels this money. The number of Chinese nationals, and they are military-aged men. You're right.
They're also Silicon Valley-aged men, if you want to put it that way, dum-dum.
Right. Up 1,100% year over year. Are they being directed by the Communist Party to come here?
Yeah. Are they? By the way, no. They're bugging the fuck out. Now, some of them might be, but only to negatively impact the ones that are legitimately trying to get out.
I believe so. I believe so.
Well, you know Xi Jinping. Fucking call him. Ask. You know him. He's very smart. He might not tell you the truth, but you could tell. You're a good judge of character. You were friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 2.5 decades and had no idea that he was into the shit he was into. So, I mean, you know.
And I believe we're going to have a terrorist attack 100%. 100%. You know, during my...
Well, yeah, if you have another Jan 6, I guess.
Tim, I had no terrorist attacks. You know that, right?
So there'll be saboteurs? What are they?
I had all sorts of bans on people from certain countries. I had bans.
It's a fly that just flew through. Mar-a-Lago is haunted by Satan.
Hands all over the place. We had no attack. I had nothing.
Where are we with China? How?
She's still stuck on China. By the way, we haven't had one either. You know that, right? Like, there hasn't been one during the Biden administration. We haven't had a terrorist attack.
Strong is China's influence on American politics, American business.
Also, technically speaking, people, when they shoot up a synagogue or that kind of thing, or they do specifically racist attacks, that counts as a terrorist attack. It's just not foreign.
Is it possible to decouple, or is it just tariffs the way you dealt with it? You used tariffs and sanctions against China.
I did, and I did very well with it. As you know, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars in taxes through the tariffs, taxes and tariffs.
Yeah, taxes, tariffs, taxes, 220, 221, whatever works. Also, there are, I'm trying to think of a single, I can't think of a single tariff that Biden hasn't raised.
Is that what you want to do again?
Like, literally made greater.
Well, you have to do it. I mean, look, their stock market almost crashed when it was announced that I won the Iowa primary in a record.
All right. Yeah, that's what did it. Not the the $3 trillion debt in their real estate market that's all coming due, and the fact that companies are fucking vacating, and there's the greatest reshoring of companies from China back into the United States in the last 3 years than we've ever fucking seen in the history of humanity. Yeah, it was you winning Iowa, you dumb fuck.
And then when I won New Hampshire, their stock market went down like crazy, so...
Or these things are happening while these things are happening, and they're totally unrelated, Mr. Causation.
You know, obviously, I'm not looking to hurt China. I want to get along with China. I think it's great, but...
Well, then you should probably stop having primaries. Then I would stop campaigning immediately. Then, because obviously every time you win something, and you're going to win everything. So if you keep winning, you're going to wreck their entire economy. It's fucking stupid.
They've really taken advantage of our country, and we turned it around. We put big tariffs on steel. I saved the steel companies, and now Japan is buying U.S. steel.
And what's the difference between Japanese and Chinese? I mean, look at them. Who can tell, right? Is that the point? Fuck me. What does that have to do with anything? What does Japan have to do with China, dumb fuck? What does China have to do with Japan? What the fuck are you talking about? She's asking about China. What the fuck does that have to do with Japan? They're both Asian, but they're not allies. What the fuck are you talking about?
U.S. steel. You know what a name that is? That's the most important name. 50 years ago, there was no company like U.S. Steel. Now that Japan is buying it.
50 years ago, there was no U.S. Steel, and now it's not going to be U.S. Steel anymore? Oh, dear God.
I don't think I'd let that deal go through, by the way.
You wouldn't have a fucking choice. There's nothing wrong with it.
Well, your critics are saying that you're going to start another trade war with China.
It's not a trade war. I did great with China.
Excuse me, Maria. He wasn't talking about China. He was talking about Japan. It's important that you know that he diverted his answer from China, which was the base of your question, to attacking Japan, which is an ally and a democracy that we actually have a good relationship with. So you have to understand what he's doing there. He's covering for Xi Jinping while attacking an ally. This is more than a trend.
With everything. Look, China came in, they were going to destroy our steel industry, and I put tariffs, big tariffs.
Okay, Obama put tariffs on the Chinese steel industry.
50%.
Well before.
100%, but 50% for the most part.
50 to 100, but basically 50, but maybe, I don't know.
It stopped it. I have steel people that every time
how do they walk?
They see me, they start to cry. They hug me.
I have steel people. Well, I hope that you should stay away from them, because if they start crying, they will rust.
They said, you saved our industry, but now we're letting it go.
Now the Washington Post.
That was an edit, too. Now we're letting it go. What do you mean letting it go? I mean, they would still be processing stuff here. The people who are in it would actually, they'd still be making it here.
Just saying that you're talking about 60% tariffs on Chinese goods. Is that in the cards?
No, I would say maybe it's going to be more than that, because we're going to have...
That's not what she wants to hear, fuckhead. That's too big a number for her and the people at Fox Business. You're misreading this. She's not calling you a pussy, which is what is that what it is? Other than the fact that he would be, that's probably why he's grabbing himself all the time. Does he have every question that has a number in it, like somebody's, like it's a fucking dare? Oh God.
Look, I want China to do great. I do, and I like President Xi a lot. He was a very good friend of mine during my term.
Well, look. COVID cover-up, intellectual property
when
theft.
COVID came,
the list is
different.
long from our number on.
When COVID came, it was different. Asshole, they were like that the whole time. You just didn't give a fuck because you were going to leave office and build shit there.
Adversary. So I don't know if he's a friend.
No, but I got along with him great. I'm not sure he loved.
No, he didn't, by the way. This is just dumb. What do you mean? What do you mean you got along with him great? You didn't get along with him great. If you think you did, that's what they want you to think. You're an idiot.
Loved what I was doing because I was, getting along with him.
I don't think he wants you in the White House, Mr. President.
No, he doesn't. Their market almost crashed when I won Iowa and New Hampshire.
Yeah, say it again. I don't know how you managed, but it sounds even dumber the second time. Look at his fucking face. No, that's not why it crashed, dumb fuck. This is like the same shit he's saying, like the stock market's doing great because they think I'm going to be elected next year. Nobody bets on the stock market a year out. No one. You're fucking lunatic.
The market went down tremendously. Look.
And by the way, Maria knows in spite of herself, and she's an asshole, but she distinctly knows that that's not why the Chinese stock market went down. She knows this. So right then, if they'd have cut to her, she'd probably have like a fucking Herbert Lom twitch on her eye, just like.
It's not sustainable for this country to lose $500 billion a year.
We don't lose it. God damn, man. Do you know the difference between wholesale and retail? We're not losing that money. That's the difference in trade. But they're not a market. As much as people think they are, as much as China tries to make everybody think that they buy shit or whatever. First of all, if they make whatever we make there, they make a copy of it and sell it locally. I mean, just like all right. They make Michael Jordan shoes over there. When the factory stops, they also make Louis Vuitton purses over there. When the factory stops working at night, everybody goes home, and then the second crew comes in and they work on the same machinery all night long, making knockoffs. The knockoff Louis Vuitton purses are exactly the fucking same. They're just made a little quicker, and they don't have somebody checking as much. But they're the same shit out of the same factory. They have an Apple phone, which is the Apple, and they have an Apple store, which is their knockoff of Apple. You can buy Jordans, which are these they're Michael Jordan shoes, and they've got a shitty cutout of Michael Jordan on the side of them, but they're not actual Michael, they're not Jordan, they're not Air Jordans, they're knockoff Air Jordans. They're not going to buy US-made Air Jordans when they can, in their own factories where they make the Air Jordans, make a slight modification with a Chinese name and sell it everywhere.
Every year,
and they don't give a fuck about the tariff part of it because they make money selling into the market where if they were almost even, they would just get rid of this shit.
Like the sun rises, we lose $500 billion.
Like the sun rises. Okay, again, this is him slamming Japan, rising sun, blah, blah, like his brain is fixated on like late 1980s business, the Japanese rising and stuff, and this is his brain, fuck, he's so Pat Robertson right now, it's a little hard to even look at him, but that's where his brain's in a fucking doom loop from 1988, and consider who's saying that. A man who, indeed, loves the 80s.
$10 a year. No country can sustain that.
We have been. Our economy grew. It tripled during that period. Because wholesale versus retail. We are a retail country buying shit wholesale from there, basically. The cost went down. Oy.
And we're not going to do it because the people that ran our country allowed it to happen. They would have never sent a balloon over the United States.
They sent 4 of them.
If I were president.
At least.
And you understand that.
Are you saying there was never a balloon on your watch?
Well, they tried to say there wasn't. Now they find out that there wasn't. They would have never done it.
They tried to say that there wasn't. Now they find out that there wasn't. You mean there wasn't? Like as a double negative? So there was. What a... Ugh.
He would have never done it. They respected our...
First of all, yes, they would have. They had to. Their satellites suck.
Country 3 years ago. Today they think our country's a joke.
No, they don't. They think their country's a joke, you dumbass.
And it started, I think, more than anything else with Afghanistan. That was the worst display of military incompetence I've ever seen.
Do you believe China...
Edit. Did you see that? They're just slicing off this shit. She's trying to get him back on board to the China questions. This is what panics the fuck out of her. And I'll tell you why. Here's why Maria Bartiromo, who is, to use the colloquial Chinese, a bendan, or is humpur, meaning she's a moron or very stupid. The reason she's fixated on this is because she bought hook, line, and sinker the China's going to eat our lunch story. And she was selling it on her show for fucking ever. And now it is abundantly clear to anybody who's looking that there is no fucking way they're going to overtake our economy. And they're in way more dire straits than anybody said. And again, I will stand by this. They do not have, on two fucking measures, they do not have the world's biggest, second largest economy. The United States economy is somewhere in the order of 25 to 26 trillion dollars. Trillion a year, every year. U.S., our economy, 26 trillion. Nobody's even fucking close. China's, when they were saying they're inching up on us, right? They're inching up on us. It was 18 trillion, right? That was like, oh my God, China's economy is 18 trillion. And therefore, they're getting close to our 26 trillion. And if they keep this up and we steady out, eventually they're going to overtake us. No, they're not, first of all. Secondly, that 18 number was bullshit. It was always bullshit. It's bullshit now. Like, there have been multiple studies on the actual GDP of China. It's smaller than Japan. Japan has a bigger economy, dollar for dollar, than China does. Now, on that measure, and never mind the fact that on the real scale of what makes an economy, which is what I would call the butter scale. You've been familiar with this? I think it's a sound analogy. If you have a pat of butter and you have one piece of bread, and one pat of butter covers the entire piece of bread, and that is your Goldilocks economy. The United States has a pat of butter and a slice of bread. We got 340 million people, and that's the size of our bread. And then this, pat of butter. That's our economy. And you cover it up. Okay. The Chinese have a pat of butter that is 2/3 the size of ours, even if you trust their numbers. And they have 10,000 slices of bread. You see what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm laying out? Does anybody else have a better analogy? I don't think so. So, let's be abundantly clear. The Netherlands, for example, has a quarter of the amount of butter we have, but they also only have a cracker. It's plenty. They cover their cracker the way we cover our butter. They're probably, like Sweden and the Netherlands, some of the European countries are very close as far as a per capita balance to the United States. Those, I would argue, are the second, third, fourth, fifth, and it's much closer to the way. By that way, I think they're much tighter as far as second place, third place, if you use that standard. Does your economy cover your people? Nobody will ever be perfect in this. As Jesus says, the poor will always be with us. But, again, China has one pat of butter, less than a full pat, by the way, and 10,000 fucking slices of bread. That's, as they say in the business, really goddamn thin. Or as, I guess, Riggs and Murtaugh would say, fucking thin. Hopefully that is a clear enough thing. Now, Maria bought the whole China's going to eat our lunch thing, and now she needs another reason for people to believe that they're going to have some sort of massive comeback and that they're going to, like undermine us and all that kind of shit. Right? Okay.
Will interfere or try to interfere in the presidential election. That's what John Ratcliffe said on this program
I
a couple
think
of weeks
they
ago.
will, and they won't be interfering on my behalf. We should go same-day voting, paper ballots, voter ID, and no mail-in ballots.
Would you try to stop?
Yeah, this is goofy. And by the way, they obviously, you'll notice they cut him off because he said, that thing was a rig.
Stop China from taking over Taiwan? What would you do if they went into Taiwan?
I won't tell you now because
I don't know and I don't have a plan. And all I have to say is we support the, static one China policy, but Taiwan is its own country and an invasion would be a mistake. And we will support China. By the way, Biden has said we would defend Taiwan militarily. And he fucking means it. State Department walked it back, but everybody knows it's true.
That would really jeopardize my negotiating ability with
Taiwan. Because here's the thing. Who are you negotiating with? Oh, by the way, Ashley says, how do you think China will attack Taiwan due to the awful economy in China? No, I do not. As a matter of fact, that makes it more of a problem for them. China would lose 1 million people if they attacked Taiwan. They would lose 1 million. So they would send all their boats. Their first 3 waves would get wiped off. They'd be sank immediately. They would be dead. So it would be a horrific level of destruction. Again, this is different from Russia entering Ukraine because crossing water is very different than crossing land. There's a order of magnitude of difficulty about that. So, yeah, China has water-fueled rockets. That is true. And Taiwan has, by the way, we also have like our Marines training their people there. Wait, did somebody just say, I want authoritarianism? That's hilarious. Or are they talking to somebody else in the chat? Hilarious.
China. So I don't talk about those things. It's very hard to say I would or I wouldn't.
Because I don't know. He literally doesn't know who's... By the way, he's on China's side in this. Let's be abundantly clear. His family was doing business over there. They're salivating at the idea of hotels and if they reopen the market. And he's looking at China like it's the same China from 11 years ago.
They know what I do, and they know where I stand.
No, then if they can know, why don't we know? What the fuck are you talking about? Seriously. If the Chinese already know, then say it to the American people. This is the dumbest fallback.
And we won't have a problem.
I don't even know what the fuck that meant.
Coming up, President Trump reacts.
All right. Don't care. Hold on one second. Pop forward. He's back. Okay.
The most important criteria he's using to determine who will be his running mate and vice presidential hopeful.
Well, obviously, getting a weird suck-up that gives you the eyeball every time you're speaking didn't work that well last time, but hey, hope springs eternal.
But first, I asked the 45th president about America leading today on the world stage.
Mm-hmm.
Given all the conflicts developing overseas, if you are elected in November, what?
First of all, it never would have happened. I don't give a fuck. It's happening. Answer.
What's the first thing you do to get America's strength back on the international stage?
First thing you have to do is close up the border. You can't have millions of people, and then you're going to have to do a massive deportation. You have to do it.
Mr. President, I want to get back to Iran.
Jesus Christ. What did they cut out there? Where the fuck did he go? Because look at the look on her face. Imagine what they cut out of that answer. What a jump. Look at this shit. Watch this.
Strength back on the international stage.
First thing you have to do is close up the border. You can't have millions of people, and then you're going to have to do a massive deportation. You have to do it.
Mr. President, I want to get back to Iran.
Back to Iran?
We lost 3 service members last week.
Never would have happened. Never would have happened.
May they rest in peace. In Jordan, an enemy drone from Iranian-backed proxies launched that deadly drone strike, killed our heroes. What should be the proper response?
Well, I don't want to say because...
Before you go too far, would have never happened with me.
Sis, motherfucker. Yeah, it did. We had strikes. There were 96 dignified transfers while he was in office. He only went to fucking 4 of them. He stopped going after the 4th one because one of the parents yelled at him, and so he just sent Pence from that point on. We had a few dozen dead soldiers come back from strikes like this.
I had Iran in check.
No, he didn't.
You know, we hit them very hard for something that they did, and they had to hit back. They feel they have to do that, and I understand that.
Oh, boy.
Do you know they called me to tell me we're going to hit a certain location, but we're not going to hit it. It's going to be outside of the perimeters.
Who called you?
Iran called me. Iran called for me.
Did they? What did they use? They just put the signal on top of the building and turn it on? And it just had like your fucking hair and like a puffy lip and your nunt and like in an outline. Iran called you and told you we're going to strike back, but it's bullshit.
And they let us know, and we had 16 missiles went off. I believe it was 16. 6 or 7 failed in the air.
When was this?
This was
6 or 7 failed in the air.
prior to the attack on a fort that we had.
Yeah, a fort. What? Just look, fort. Just focus on the word fort, okay? A fort. We have lots of forts. There's Frankfurt, which is in Kentucky, where I come from.
They hit back. Do you remember when they sent 18 missiles or 16 missiles?
You'd think it would stand out, you know, especially if you were president at the time. I gotta say, you dizzy fuck, that if you talk to Biden in a sit-down interview like this, and you were like, you know, you had him run through some military action he took, he's going to give you a solid rundown, and it's not going to be 16 or 18.
5 failed. They let us know.
No, that's not what you said. You said 6 or 8 failed.
Don't move. We're going to have to hit you back psychologically.
Don't move. You might feel a slight pinch, but just, you know, understand we have to do this.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
Now, don't be afraid. I've clipped my nails.
Moon River.
Fucking hell.
We have to do that because we hit them on something. You remember, they
No, she doesn't.
they sent 16 or 18 missiles.
Something like that.
And
ballpark.
We knew they weren't going to hit inside the fort. And the media was going, and now I reveal it. The media was going
And now I reveal it.
wild because they say it's strange. They're very accurate missiles. How come they all missed? No.
Please, God. Like, can I just not have to hunt down his fucking fever dreams? They sent up the fat signal. Oh, come on, guys.
Nobody was killed, if you remember.
Yes,
With all
I
of those
do.
missiles, nobody
Yes, I do. I do remember.
was killed. Now, they had to do it because they have people and they have to show strength. So they aimed the missiles, but they said, please don't attack us. We're not going to hit you. That was respect. We had respect. When we took out Soleimani, you know, Israel was supposed to do it with us. 2 days
Oh, this is, yeah. He's gone through this bit before, too.
before the takeout, they said, we can't
Before the takeout? Really? Do you get, would you, like, with every assassination, you get onion rings?
do it. We can't do it. I said, what? We can't
I said, what? They said, asshole says what? And you were like, I said, what?
do it. Then I had a certain general who's great. I said, so, General, do we do it ourselves?
And he was like, I have a last name, sir. There are several generals here. Can you address me with, I mean, it's written on my jacket. You can just read it. If you can read. Oh, dear God. DEFCON 2, DEFCON
He
2.
said, we can, sir. It's up to you. I said, we'll do it. But Israel was a part of it. You know, Bibi was a big part of it. And we had everything planned, everything, because what he has done is terrible. What he did to us was terrible. Killed
I don't think he means Bibi Netanyahu.
so many of our soldiers.
Bibi Netanyahu killed so many of our soldiers?
Killed so many people. He's the father of the roadside bomb. You know that, right? And Soleimani, we can't, it was just
Jesus Christ. Did he just realize that it sounds like he was saying Bibi Netanyahu is the father of the roadside bomb?
incredible. And al-Baghdadi.
And also, no, he isn't.
Baghdadi, I wiped him out too. Yeah. We took out al-Baghdadi, the founder of ISIS, that nobody could find except me.
Why, did you have his fucking home phone number?
And Soleimani, father of the roadside bomb. Now, and beyond that, killed many people. He was going to attack 5 of our military bases. And we took him out. And we took him out without Israel, because Israel, 2 days before the attack, they said, we cannot participate.
So
did they say it very distinctly like that? You know, that he always falls into that foreign dialect shit where he's like, and they said to me, we cannot do that.
Again, what should be the response?
Again, thank you for blathering for a second and printing another piece of video where everyone can go, he's a fucking lunatic. But Iran, we were talking about Iran.
United States. And what do you think about Biden's response?
Well, if you're going to not want a widening war, then you're going to have to be a lot tougher initially.
He showed his cards.
Because right now, number one, he shouldn't even be talking about what he's going to do. He shouldn't say.
By the way, they aren't. They literally just said, we will respond at a time of our choosing and a method of our choosing, you know, and at a point of our choosing, whatever. Like target opportunity and time is up to us.
He's going to do anything. He's going to do much or very little.
Back this up. What? Okay. One more time, stupid. Okay.
2 days before the attack, they said, we cannot participate.
So, again, what should be the response from the United States? And what do you think about Biden's response?
Well, if you're going to not want a widening war, then you're going to have to be a lot tougher initially.
He showed his cards.
Because right now, number one,
No, he didn't, by the way. I don't know why the fuck she says this. This is where this is her throwing in with him, and they both get stupid.
He shouldn't even be talking about what he's going to do. He shouldn't say he's going to do anything. He's going to do much or very little.
Much or very little. The Donald Trump Guide to Thinking.
But he's incompetent. Everybody knows it. He doesn't even know. Somebody's making decisions in there. It's not him. He is.
All right. But is he much incompetent or very little incompetent?
Look, when it comes to a lot of countries, I think he's a Manchurian candidate because he receives money.
Well, you can only be a Manchurian candidate from China because that's Manchuria. You can't be a Manchurian candidate for Iran, technically speaking. I mean, I'm sure they have a version of like a deep spy who doesn't even realize they're being used or something.
Money from China. He gets a lot of money from.
Also, by the way, a Manchurian candidate is somebody who's like a true believer and actually loves their country, but they've been programmed to support this other country. Manchurian candidate isn't all in with you. They're literally hypnotized, is the idea, into siding with you.
China. People say, I wonder why he's so weak on China. He gets a lot of money from China.
Any thoughts on a response to Iran, or you don't want
Just, can I ask this question for the 7th fucking time?
to discuss it?
I can't tell you what I do. I know exactly what I do. It's subject to change, of course, but I know exactly what I do. You know, there were a lot of stories. You covered it a long time ago that Iran had no money to give to Hamas or Hezbollah. They had no money.
Yeah, they did. He let them sell. Donald Trump gave them a waiver to sell oil to South Korea. And then he got caught out on it like a year later. There was news about it, and then he shut it off. That's what the $6 billion that was allegedly going to go initially for the exchange for the hostages. That's where that money came from. That's where that money was in a South Korean bank, and it was not transferred because of sanctions, and it had been held there during this time. After he gave him the waiver and then took it away, $6 billion sat in that bank account for South Korea. That's where it was. It just stayed right there. It's still there.
And they were all going out of business. All these terror outfits were going out of business. I said, anybody that does business buys oil, because that's their big deal. Essentially business, but oil.
Essentially business, but oil. Fuck.
In particular, anybody that buys from Iran will do no business with the United States.
All right. By the way, Betsy DeVos was involved in shipping technology to Iran herself, and he made her Secretary of Education. and gave contracts to her brother when he, by the way, when he changed his fucking company from Blackwater to Xi, which is name it after Xi Jinping. Were they trying to go for contracts over there?
Everybody stopped. They were selling almost nothing. They were almost out of business. They would have had a deal with me within 2 weeks after the election.
Yeah, which, by the way, makes no sense. Why would you not take the deal if you had 2 more weeks? You're president for a month and a half or 2 months after. 3 months. Jesus.
Now, the deal is a very simple deal. No nuclear weapon. They're going to have a nuclear weapon in the next 60 days.
All right. Well, set your clock, everybody. Let's just make it April Fool's Day. By April Fool's Day, they have a nuke.
And once they have a nuclear weapon, it's a whole different story. It's a whole different negotiation, whole different deal.
Yeah, it didn't stop Pakistan from attacking them or them attacking Pakistan. Pakistan does have nukes.
He allowed them to do this. He's allowed them, and now they're a very wealthy country. They are a country with over $200 billion, and they control Iraq. Another stupid thing that we did. Going into Iraq was a stupid thing. Remember, I used to say, don't...
Yeah, Biden, why'd you take us into Iraq? I don't want to hear it that you were against it from the very beginning. You're president now, and therefore, it's your responsibility. Anything that happened before you were president is your fault. Obviously, that does not apply to Donald Trump. It only applies to every other president ever.
Do it, but if you do it, keep the oil.
Would you still send aid to...
Also, that's fucking a war crime? That's just... So we're just talking about raiding countries for their natural resources at this point, right?
Israel right now?
Look, we've always got to protect Israel, in my opinion. They've been, they're amazing people. What they've done is
the Israelis or Jews or also, what's that? What's happening there? What's happening with the top of your head? Because I'm pretty sure that's your scalp. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. This is just very odd. Were you wearing a hat and then you just decided to blow it off at this point? Or did it blow off when you walked into the room?
An amazing thing, and they've been loyal to us.
Mr. President, when will you announce
Jesus, they cut all of his answers off.
who your VP is?
Not for a while. I mean, we have so many great people in the Republican Party, but not for a while.
Well, what criteria are you using to identify who your running mate is?
Suck-ups. I want the biggest fucking suck-up that I can find, because I suck up. That's what it is. Suck 'em up, suck up. Anybody who will suck. Anybody who sucks, period, but also sucks up. I need a sucker.
Always, it's got to be one thing. It's got to be who would be a good president. I mean, you always have to think that because, in case of emergency, things happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter who you are, things happen. It's got to be number one.
Who is your running mate?
Well, I have a lot of good people. We have a lot of really good people.
So you haven't decided who it is?
I have a lot of good ideas, but I haven't. And there's no reason.
By the way, he said he already made the decision last week. I'm sorry, I can't do ficus right now. The thing doesn't work. I will work on that, though.
So you haven't told...
I don't know why it won't switch cameras like it's supposed to, and it's just driving me crazy. I've been tinkering behind the scenes, but I promise characters will be back very soon.
That person. You're my person.
I speak to everybody.
Okay, so John Kasich, Chris Christie, Ronna McDaniel.
I called Tim Scott this because a lot of people like Tim Scott. I called him and I said, you're a much better candidate for me than you are for yourself. When I watched him, he was fine, he was good, but he was very low-key, et cetera, et cetera. I watched him in the last week defending me and sticking up for me and fighting for me. I said, you're a much better person for me than you are for yourself.
That makes total sense. You're a much better person for me than you are for yourself as a person.
Because for himself, he was low-key. For me, he's been a real tiger. He's been incredible. And others have too.
So maybe it's Tim Scott.
Well, it could be a lot of people. But it was interesting. I was watching Tim. I've been watching, for a while. I watched him campaign as a candidate.
And then he closed his drapes.
But I watched him over the last 2 weeks. As you know, he endorsed me, fully endorsed me, gave me a beautiful endorsement.
As opposed to these piddling drip kind of endorsements, like that kind of, it's sad. And
he has been really strong in terms of that. No, but that has nothing.
He's been really strong in terms of liking me.
To do. I don't want anybody to take even any inference.
Good.
But it's incredible. Kristi Noem has been incredible fighting for me. She said I'd never run against him because I can't beat him. That was a very nice.
That's a nice thing to say. So it's not a statement of fact. So she's lying. She could beat you, is what she's saying. Because it's not nice unless you're being nice. Just stating, like, I would never try to beat gravity by jumping off a roof. It's not you being nice to the magnetic pull of the earth. You're just saying it. It's just true. So the only way that's her being nice is if she could kick your ass.
Nice thing to say.
What was the story that your team reached out to RFK Jr.?
It's a false story. No, it's a false story.
You never reached out to RFK Jr.?
I like him a lot. Nope, never happened.
Is it fair to believe that you would have a number of your former officials in your new cabinet?
I will put some back. I'll tell you, I came to Washington having spent almost no time in my life in Washington.
I know.
Yeah, but you were supposed to know the best people in New York and other places. You're going to bring those people.
And all of a sudden I'm president. And I wasn't into Washington society. So I was not a Washington. I was a New York person. I was a New York builder.
Well, you were an outsider, and that's why
I was a
they
totally
had it in for
outsider.
you.
But the one
That's why they had it in for you. Yeah, what do you mean? His own cabinet?
problem with that, and I love the outsider thing, but you don't know people, so you're relying on other people to give you names to be the head of this, head of that. And by the way, we had unbelievable people. We had to look. I rebuilt the military.
Yeah, but your critics say you had plenty of personnel mistakes.
No, of course, but everybody does.
No, they don't.
Obama had.
Nope.
What about Biden? Look at the people running this Biden thing. The difference is I fire people. I fired Comey. I got rid of him.
You didn't fire
But, whoops. Wait, back that up. By the way, Comey wasn't one of your people. He was already there when you got in. That's not what she's talking about, dum-dum.
Of course, but everybody does. Obama had. What about Biden? Look at the people running this Biden thing. The difference
By the way, they're almost all still there?
is I fire people. I fired Comey. I got rid of him.
You didn't fire Christopher Wray.
Well,
You
you know what? At
Christopher Wray was his choice. Comey was not.
the time, I don't know. Let's see what the final judgment is. But I didn't fire
Jesus Christ. You do realize that the right wing just tears fucking Ray a new asshole and thinks he's part of the deep state, you dumb fuck.
Christopher Wray. I didn't fire people I would have, but I fired a lot
I didn't fire people I would have, but I fired a lot.
of people. You know,
I didn't fire people. Wait. Back the fuck up. What?
at the time, I don't know. Let's see what the final judgment is. But I didn't fire Christopher Wray. I didn't fire people I would have, but I fired a lot of people. You know, I had turnover. They have no turnover right now.
How do you...
That's not you're not supposed to have turnover, dumbass. You're supposed to hire competent people that can be there through the whole administration. What? So you fired a lot. You didn't fire a lot of people you should have, but you fired a lot of people. So you only fired people that should have stayed?
You know, if you get back in, you don't have a network of people around you working against you.
I will, and so will anybody else that gets in as a Republican. These people are sick. These are
No, they won't, by the way.
sick people.
Seriously, like, what is he talking about? There's nobody coming for Mitt Romney or fucking Nikki Haley or any of these people. If they ended up being president, nobody's going to be scandal hopping. It's a waste of fucking time. He's a special case. The dude's a confirmed rapist. It's gross.
But do you feel better this time around because
Yeah, he has to say yes.
you know what to expect?
Well, I also know people that I didn't know before.
Like Christopher Wray.
I know now the smart ones. I know the dumb ones. I know.
Right, yeah, and you'll only hire the dumb ones because you don't trust the smart ones because you think they're smarter than you are, or that they think they're smarter than you are, and that scares
the
you.
weak ones and the strong ones. I know tremendous amounts of people that
I know tremendous. Yeah, volume isn't the issue, asshole.
I know will do a great job. But I was different. When I didn't like a job that somebody was done, I fired them, just like The Apprentice. I said, "You're fired."
No, he didn't. He had other people. The biggest firings that he had, he outsourced to other people. He had them do it. P.S. He never fucking fired people on The Apprentice. The producers would let people go, and they told him who was going. He didn't make the fucking decision. They decided. The producers made the decision about who stayed and who went on the fucking show. Donald Trump had no say in that at all. Didn't even fucking want to.
Have to go.
What about some of your former officials? Do you see them being in this next cabinet? Mike Pompeo, for example.
I don't know.
John Ratcliffe?
He's fantastic. I mean, he's a great guy. John Ratcliffe has done a great job. Yeah.
Dr. Ben Carson?
He's done a fantastic job.
So you're
Fantastic job. I don't know what he would do, but I didn't even know what he was doing when he was there.
expecting them to be in your cabinet?
Some of them, yeah. I mean, if somebody did a good job, I would do that, yeah.
All right, that's gibberish. Okay, now, by the way, you're watching House Parks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. You can become a member. You can do all that stuff. I should do this. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
I asked the 45th Commander-in-Chief.
Always before an interview, I think it's very important to sit in solemn silence in a dull, dark dock in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a short, sharp shock from a cheap and chippy chopper on a big black block. It's just a diction exercise that actors learn, and I think it's very important. Now, you can still be a slurry mess if that's your character, but it's important to know that you're in control of your instrument. Now, let's get back to Donald Trump's hard fade.
About some of his former officials and whether they'll be part of the new cabinet.
You just... That's what you were just... Before you went to commercial, that's what you were talking about, dum-dum. What? Am I nuts? Am I losing my fucking mind here? I'm sorry. Have I gone completely insane? If I'm not mistaken, that's exactly what she was talking about before.
You've spoken about the weaponization of law enforcement agencies, a two-tiered system of justice. We watch it. Yeah. Who do you want to see in those roles? The AG, the FBI?
I want tough people, much tougher than Bill Barr. When they said to Bill...
Much tougher than Bill Barr. I don't know, he withstood your withering attacks.
Barr, that we're going to impeach you for no reason. He got scared. You know what they do? It's so called sad. Playing the ref. Once they said to him...
They're playing the ref? You mean working the ref? And that's not what working the ref means at all?
We're going to impeach you.
Again, I fucking hate to do this so much, but listen, dipshit.
Agencies, a two-tiered system of justice. We watch it. Yeah. Who do you want to see in those roles? The AG, the FBI?
I want tough people, much tougher than Bill Barr. When they said to Bill Barr that we're going to impeach you for no reason, he got scared. You know what they do? It's called playing the ref. Once they said to him...
Okay, playing the ref would be dressing up as a ref. And, maybe that's your idea of a good time. You and the wife, you play the ref and she plays the right guard that just won't stop fouling until they learn their lesson.
And we're going to...
Working the ref. It's work. The phrase is working the ref. Hey, asshole, it's working the ref. Next time, say working the ref. Shithead.
Impeach you. He became like a wallflower. He was so...
A wallflower? Okay. Never in anyone's head did anyone look at Bill Barr and think, Bill Barr, wallflower. He became... Do you know what any of these things mean? All right. At this point, if I was Maria Bartiromo, I was like, okay, you sound like a Chinese agent who's learned English from a book. You've gotten all the colloquialisms wrong, and I would try to snatch your fucking mask off like it was the end of a Scooby-Doo episode. What the fuck?
To finish mentally, and I got him out. I said, even though it was late, I got him out.
He left.
The Republicans have to be tougher.
You talk about this optimism ahead that we could see some relief, but the RNC doesn't seem to be so strong. I mean, the Democrats have all the money.
Weird. Huh.
Look at what we see. We got the Democrats actually with the money and spending it.
Yeah, there we are. Fucking Democrats, man. Got all the money, spending
The RNC seeking credit lines. The RNC reported its lowest bank balance at the point in any year in 2016.
You know, real quick, you don't think that might have something to do with them paying his legal bills early on? Or, no, never mind. Sorry, you were saying.
America says Michigan GOP defaulted on a loan of $500,000.
So I have a lot of money.
Paging Judge Kaplan. Paging Engeron. Just, you might want to take a look at this piece of video.
And the money that they get, people are not looking at the RNC. They want changes. You have to understand, I have nothing to do with the RNC. I'm separate.
How's Ronna McDaniel doing?
I think she did great when she ran Michigan for me. I think she did okay initially in the RNC. I would say right now there'll probably be some changes made.
Jesus Christ. Get on. Just. All right. On its base level, how is this leadership? Maggots. We got to have some maggots in here in the chat room. Explain yourselves. Fuck is this? This is the leader of your party.
You've said many policy ideas and lots of hope ahead, but you're going to need a willing partner in the Senate. Senate leadership is against you. Mitch McConnell, he's massively anti-Trump. How are you going to work with him?
I think Mitch McConnell wants to endorse me. That's what I hear.
Now, that's lunacy. But also, is this him baiting McConnell into saying, I don't think so, and then catching hell and hoping that his maggot followers attack Mitch McConnell for saying he wouldn't? No. Mitch McConnell is not going to endorse him. No.
Really?
John Cornyn just endorsed me. I don't know if you know that or not, but John Cornyn just endorsed me. Steve Daines is a fantastic guy, endorsed me. I have...
so you think Mitch McConnell will endorse you?
Just so you know, like Nikki, she doesn't have any endorsements from the Senate. I have more than half of the Republicans have already endorsed me, and the rest of them are coming in.
Yeah, they're all going to eventually.
I don't know if he's going to endorse me. I just heard he wants to endorse me.
No, you didn't. In your fucking head.
But these are all people that are... everybody's getting in line. They're all getting aboard. And
no, they aren't.
They also...
You've lost half the fucking party.
See the fact that...
I mean, him bullshitting his way through this is just par for the course, honestly. I don't even know why I'm shocked that he's just like pretending people like him who don't.
We've changed the Republican Party.
Yeah, you grabbed the entire party by the pussy. We get it. You just start kissing them, and they can't do anything about it. And it's because you're a star. And it has nothing to do with the fact that you look like Pat Robertson on a, after a, after a spray tan.
The Republican Party under Trump has become a tremendous success.
Are you going to be able
No, it hasn't. She was just telling you they're fucking broke, dum-dum.
to flip blue states like a New York?
Thank you, Pred Amsterdam. I agree. I think I deserve more subs as well. So please subscribe, everybody, if you can. That would be lovely. Become a member, patreon.com/houseparks, etc., etc., etc.
New York and in New Jersey. There's a rumor you're going to do a rally in the South Bronx.
I think so, yeah. I think I will do that. And
when are you going to do that?
I think I'll do one maybe at Madison Square Garden, too. I think we have a chance. New York...
Why not? Louis C.K. just did a show there.
Has changed a lot in the last 2 years. We have migrants all over the street. They're living on Madison Avenue. I mean, nobody can believe what's happened to New York. The people of New York are angry. People that would have never voted for me because I'm a Republican. I mean, they're Democrats. Their parents were Democrats.
Yeah, but they voted for Adams, and he's against this stuff and trying to work it out. And there's a border bill that would solve this.
They vote for Democrats. I think they're going to vote for me.
No.
So I think we're going
No, they aren't.
to give New York a heavy shot. They're very unhappy in New York. What's happening?
Yes, spend all your money in New York after you've been driven out of the state and you can't even do business there. Give me your vote. I can't even run a fucking charity in this state.
And they're unhappy with the crime. You take a look at the crime in New York, it's at record levels.
No, it isn't. Look at the summer of the Son of Sam. Like, New York is Disneyland compared to that.
The other thing is, and very importantly, New Jersey. I think New Jersey can be flipped. I think that Virginia can be flipped. I think that...
Go for it. Spend as much money as you want. Please, please, please drill down on this. Waste your fucking time and money. Knock yourself the fuck out.
New Mexico could be flipped, and I think Minnesota could be flipped. And I'm not even sure that everything can't be flipped.
And you're focused on Pennsylvania, too.
I did great in Pennsylvania twice.
Will you pursue an
They cut that out, too, because he was like, I want it, and they just stole it from me.
investigation into the Biden family and the influence peddling that the Oversight Committee has told us about?
has told us about that they haven't found evidence of, but they keep saying they're this fucking close?
I don't want to really say that. I don't think it's appropriate to say it right now, but I can tell you they have done things that are so bad in terms of weaponization.
Like,
Bottom line remains, you've got 91 counts, felony counts against.
oh, can we just enjoy this for a second? Maria, you can't give me a moment like this. I mean, why would you? I'm sorry. I hate to continue because I'm enjoying the Chiron for once.
You've got 4 indictments. You could be in trial this year and you could get convicted.
You know,
do you think about that?
No, because it's all about courage. You have to have courage for the country.
Well, I suppose you don't need courage if you're innocent, but
I would have, if I didn't run or if I was in 5th place, I wouldn't have any indictments. I wouldn't have any problem. They went after me from before I even announced because they said we have
also because of January 6th, fuckwad.
to do it. It's all, these aren't indictments. These are Biden indictments.
Well, they still use the word indictments, though. It would still be technically an indictment. I mean, even if you attach the word Biden to it, it's not a legally binding title and doesn't actually have any impact on them. And you're still going to have to fight them in court with actual evidence and testimony. So, never mind. Just believe it.
How are you going to get through
Washington, D.C. I just get through things, whatever.
Yeah, I just get through them. I just do. Like owning a casino. Just get through it. Like Trump stakes. You just get through it. You know?
It is. I'm doing this for the country. I didn't need this. I could have had the greatest life. Look at this. I could have had a nice time instead of doing a nice, fair, but tough interview with you.
Nice, fair, but tough interview. Why? Because she tried to get you to actually answer her question a couple of times while kissing your ass, and her editors cut out like the worst parts of your blather?
I could have had a very nice time in my life. I could have enjoyed it. But
no, I don't think so. I think you're a fame fucker, and you're unfuckable now, and not that you ever were, but that you definitely are aware of it anyway.
I enjoy it anyway because we're going to make America great again. This country is failing.
No, it's really not, actually. We're kind of kicking ass and taking names on a scale that the rest of the world envies every single fucking day. One of the reasons why our stock market is doing so well is because people are taking their money out of the European stock market and especially the Chinese stock market and putting it where it's fucking safe.
This nation is failing.
No, it's not.
And it's incompetent people like Biden. Who wants open borders? Who wants high interest rates? Who wants bad education? Who wants all of this stuff?
Well, nobody. That's why we don't have that. We don't have open borders. And we're trying to even tighten them down more than they're already tightened down. We don't have high interest rates. We have higher interest rates than we had previously because they were almost non-existent, and people were big business people like him back in the day were using the low cost of money to just basically play stocks and investments because you'll always make more money from them than you would pay in interest past a certain point. Once that evens out, then it starts to benefit the average American.
Who wants a woke military?
Honest to God, do you think a trans person can't operate a fucking FPV drone?
Our country's going to hell.
No, it's not. It really isn't. Fuck you and stop shit talking the United States of America, you fraud.
And it's an honor for me. I really say, anytime I get indicted, it's an honor because I'm doing it for you.
Yeah, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
And the people agree with it.
Now, you've said you don't even think that's who you're going to face off in November.
I don't
Is he going
think
to be
so.
the nominee?
By the way, you'll notice they cut out whatever chunk he said about Biden.
Personally, I don't think so. With all that I'm saying, I don't think. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know.
Well, Gavin Newsom's right out of Central Casting. How about Gavin?
Oh, Gavin Newsom's right out of Central Casting. He's fabulous. Have you seen him? Oh, my God. He's just so dreamy. How do you even deal? Because I might even vote for him if he just do a tank, just so he would do some Obama at the beach shots. You know what I'm saying? Because, God,
going to do up
the man.
Against Gavin Newsom?
I'll tell you what, because he's so much.
He's so much bullshit. He's so much bullshit. How is that a sentence? He's so much bullshit.
He wants to say how wonderful it's doing horribly. His state is doing horribly.
No, it isn't. It actually moved up in the rankings of the top economies in the world 2 notches since he's been governor.
Look at the homeless problem. You look at the people.
Yeah, that's because ours survived. New York doesn't have that because people fucking freeze to death.
People that are leaving. You have companies that
And Texas dumps them
are
there.
leaving. They're all leaving for other locations. I think Gavin's
No, they aren't.
easy because California is a disaster. He has been a horrible governor.
What if it's Michelle Obama? How are you going to do against Michelle Obama?
Yeah.
How you going to do against Michelle Obama? What if it's Michelle Obama? Michelle Obama's not running. This is fucking weird. I don't know why they float this all the time. It's so fucking odd.
I have to see. Look, I've seen polls where she doesn't do well.
No, you haven't.
She may do well, but I've seen polls where
He has not.
I beat her easily. I beat
No, you have not.
her by a lot. I had 4 great years.
Is your
No. Even if you wanted to be charitable, you could say he could say about himself he had 3 great years. You fucked up with COVID and you tried to sign a deal with China while it was going down. And by the way, we were already headed into a recession because of you fucking muscling the Fed into lowering interest rates even further to benefit your real estate business. And it was and honestly, it was like, it was like a drowning in a bathtub kind of a threat from that recession, and then a tidal wave came.
answer to getting inflation down? Drill, drill, drill. Independent oil?
Overall inflation up 17.6 since Biden took office. Overall, let's just keep stacking it as if nothing changes.
Well, among other things, it's drill, drill, drill. Yeah.
Yeah, it's drill, drill, drill. You do realize that oil production is higher than it's ever been. That it just broke a record that was previously set last summer.
It's drill, drill, drill.
What's your answer to
There
getting
is no
inflation down?
else. You have to get the oil. Look,
You have to get the oil. First you get the oil, then you get the power, then you get the money, then you get the pussy that you can grab in the first place, so you don't even need the oil and the power and the money.
I did something in Alaska that nobody could believe.
Yes, because we already produce enough and we have enough sites in the lower 48 that we wouldn't have to drill in the Arctic while
I got rights to drill in Alaska on the largest oil, possibly the size of Saudi Arabia. And the first thing they did is they voided that.
Right, because we don't need it. There are 9,000 unused leases already in the United States.
They knock out their oil leases, and now they're letting some things happen because
Oh, are they?
if oil goes up, then he's finished. But they
If oil goes up, then he's finished. Nope.
have been so bad and so disrespectful to that industry, it's incredible.
Oh, that mean. They've been mean to the oil industry? How dare they? It's pitiful.
I think this,
I think this.
our country's a mess.
You think this. Our country's a mess.
Borders are open and insecure. 9 months is a long
Look at that cut. Jesus Christ.
time. You have a very good chance in that period of time of having World War III.
Yeah, but we'll finish it by the time you have the election. I mean, everything happens quicker these days. This is technology.
Because we have somebody that is not doing his job properly. He's not respected. He's laughed at all over the world.
No, when they're laughing at you, they're not laughing at us or him. They're laughing at you.
He's not doing a good job.
Ouch. Ouch. It's that, it's those zingers he became famous for. He's not doing a good job. Are we almost done with this shit? We have to be. There was that, and then we had a question, and then we came back, and then, all right. Look, it's the same footage we looked at this morning.
Deportation of most of the 10 million illegals already here after they entered illegally under the Biden administration. Joining me right now with reaction.
By the way, under Title 42, it was like the number is 3 times higher than the actual human beings that crossed in. That's why it's actually 3.2. If you look at the CBP, they know who the people repeat, because under Title 42, it wasn't a ding on your record if you tried again once you were sent out. If it if you tried again, you could never become a citizen. You could never under Title 8. This under Title 42, you could try as many times as you fucking wanted to. And so people came and they got caught and they got dropped off and they remain in Mexico and then they got kicked back there and they would just try again and again and again. And the Republicans used that number to try and drive it up. The problem is the backside of that, because recidivism being the problem under Title 42, you don't have the same thing. So the numbers are going to drop no matter what, even if the exact same number of people are physically crossing the, into the United States. And they've tied themselves to that giant number, which they knew was caused by recidivism. So this year, the number's going to go down no matter what.
Action is the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. Governor, thanks very much for joining.
Wait, did she that was it? That was the whole fucking Trump thing? Like, did she just... I guess, was that it? Did they just fucking bail? I guess so. How's the... Yeah, I guess so. Shit. They didn't even make it through 3 segments. Christy Nome is coming up. Hold on one second. Did she even say goodbye to him, or did they just fucking drop it?
He's not doing a good job.
President Trump also told me that he believes inflation is likely to spike given
Yeah.
the hostilities in the Red Sea, and that
Yeah, you think so?
if elected again, he would not reappoint Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell. My thanks to former President Donald J. Trump.
Jesus Christ. But I had to sum that up because when he said it, it didn't make any sense. And I had to correct him on who Jerome Powell was. And so thank God we didn't even finish it. He just got up at one point, just wandered away. Good Lord. That's just ass. By the way, hi chat room. You guys are lovely. Thanks so much. Yeah, massive riots on his watch. Absolutely. Like we had such great security when I was there. We had, think of the summer of 2020. Don't you want to go back to that? Ugh. Just hideous. And look, it took up most of the show though. Hold on one second. There's one other thing I do want to cover. Hold on. All right. 2 things real quick, if you can hang with me, because I'm not doing a show tomorrow. So pardon me if I go a little bit long tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Fox News's favorite Democratic last runner, my old boss, Marianne Williamson. I worked for her for a couple years and ran the mic at her lectures and sound and did stuff like that. Spent a good deal of time with Marianne, so you can trust that when I speak about Marianne, it's unlike when I'm talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., whom I have never met. That you can, I guess if someone goes, that was not my experience of him personally when I met him. Cool. In this particular case, though, I feel like you can kind of, you can, how close were you? I mean, I was like, for a period, I was like the Manny for her daughter. We played all the time. She was a lovely little girl. I'll dig up a picture of her and I when she was, of Emma and I when she was like 6. I mean, I did the Ethernet wiring at her house in Montecito. I fixed her computer when she was writing. Multiple times. I'm the guy who talked her into getting Marianne.com because the internet was going to be a big deal. Yeah. So let's see what she, and granted, I don't want to read anything into what, she's saying in this interview. She's on, what network is she on? Oh, what a shock. Fox News. Because that's where you go.
Voting underway in South Carolina. It's the Democratic primary going on there. The Republicans have their big primary that will pit Nikki Haley against Donald Trump and what...
By the way, Biden ran away with it.
They call for all the marbles on the table, at least for Nikki Haley. She's saying it's not the end of everything. But that's 3 weeks from now. This primary is happening today. And we have Marianne Williamson with us. And whatever your opinions of Marianne Williamson, I might...
whatever your opinions of Marianne Williamson.
Point out here, for those who don't know, that long before Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was talking about taking on a fellow Democrat and a giant in his party, and Dean Phillips came along. He's not on the ballot, for example, in South Carolina. And Gavin Newsom seemed to be teasing a presidential run. There was Marianne challenging the president, taking on when he was a lot more popular. She's gotten a little more popular right now. She joined.
Yeah, not as popular as Nikki Haley, though, who's got, basically a solid, just slightly less than half of the Republican Party.
Just out of Nevada. Marianne, good to have you back.
Wait, she's here? Oh, dear.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You must feel like Rodney Dangerfield sometimes, like you get no respect.
Mm-hmm. You don't never say that to a woman.
You've been.
There's a lot of ways of saying women don't get enough respect without bringing Rodney Dangerfield in it. Whoa, I got to tell you.
There, and you've been slugging it out. You've been taking on the Democratic establishment. They've been predictably ignoring you. How does that
Because they should. Just saying.
feel?
Well, they've been more than ignoring me. They've been belittling me. Remember, as soon as I announced, the president's own press secretary on the presidential podium belittled me. I think the president actually owes me an apology. It's not about me. I'm a big girl. When you ask me how I feel, I can take it. I mean, you're running for president. There's a lot of heat in that kitchen. But it's an insult to every Democratic voter. It's an insult to everyone who is very interested in hearing other options than that which is anointed.
No, it's also... You could argue that it's insulting to Democrats everywhere who worked as hard as they did to get Joe Biden elected in the face of someone as awful as Donald John Trump. And you come in and think we have to primary this guy when he's actually doing what he said he would do, and very well. Just the lack of humility and the idea that it's somehow like it's a cakewalk for Democrats to get like the ego involved in thinking you can become elected as a Democrat president anyways takes so much fucking work and so much fight and so much focus. And in her case, the idea that she gets like, well, fuck him. He's president. Fuck him. I could do it. Again, the fucking narcissism.
The candidacy of the president being anointed by the DNC.
He's not anointed. He's the current fucking president. He can do another term. He's capable. He's actually doing it. The idea that you would want to primary him just for your own fucking ego is the issue.
So no, that's not okay with.
Here's another idea. He's 80-something. You can't... Is it that you don't want to run against Kamala Harris maybe in a few years? Is that what it is? You'd rather run against Biden because you can call him an old white guy and get away with it and just kind of skate on it and use... misandry as a way of fucking with him. But when you actually have to run against Kamala Harris, you won't, over the same fucking issues and the same fucking policies, you won't have that arrow in your quiver.
Not because it hurts my feelings, but because this is not what the Democratic Party should be, and this is not what our democracy should be. Now, as far as respect is concerned, I feel some self-respect. That's how a system like that works. It wants you to lose all confidence in yourself, particularly as a woman, I think. I feel...
Particularly as a woman? You mean like what Hillary went through? And the faux-aggressive TYT viewers that held off their vote or didn't vote for president at all or didn't show up? And through 75,000 votes over 3 states, gave Donald Trump the Electoral College while he lost the popular vote. Same dumb motherfuckers who are talking this shit again.
Self-respect, and I know a lot of people respect the fact that I'm talking about the actual experience of the American people.
Okay. Marianne has been a multi-millionaire since the mid-90s. I helped move her from the apartment she had before Oprah decided to show her book. Oprah's book club started with Marianne. The apartment she had in West Hollywood to her something in the order of like $6 million house in Montecito with a guest house and a giant fucking, is a gorgeous place. Like, she's never looked back. Like, give me a break. What the fuck? She has no idea. No idea.
We have 39% of American people who say that they are regularly skipping their meals in order to pay their rent. We have half of Americans.
More than half of those people are Republicans who said that even though they were making less money under Trump, the economy is worse now when they're making more money and they're healthier under Biden.
Living paycheck to paycheck. We have Americans who are struggling to make it. And now with these retaliatory airstrikes, we are provoking Iran. So
we're provoking Iran? The Houthis fire on civilian ships, merchant marines from all over the world who never, none of them that are certainly currently serving in the military. They may have been in the military when, and in their own navies in their other countries, but they sure as fuck aren't now. So we're just supposed to sit back and let these motherfuckers die when their ships are sunk by these motherfuckers? And we're provoking?
Actually, I feel pretty good because I'm having the conversations that I think matter the most.
Well,
which is what? Let Iran sink a few ships with strangers you will never fucking meet? So what? You can wag a finger?
and you do keep those conversations going, Marianne. I mean, no offense, but the White House points to the latest jobs report, 353,000 more than the latest month, and the continued improvement in the economy as proof that you're wrong. What do you say?
What I say to that, Neil, is that you and I both know, and I think they know as well, that for 20% of Americans, and that does include me, those of us who have made it in the economy up to that top 20%, the economy is very good. What do they say, however, to the fact that half of all renters cannot afford their rent? 70% of Americans say
no. Half of renters in the United States are not making rent. 50% of renters in the country are not in fear of eviction. Get the fuck out of here. They're complaining about the cost of it because that is the highest spike in the cost, and it doesn't seem to be going down anytime soon. You build your way out of that shit.
that they live with chronic economic anxiety.
Okay. Again, a big chunk of these are Republicans who were fine with the shitty hand-to-mouth stuff they were going through when Trump was president, because you got to suck it up for your man. But now that Biden's in office, they're like, oh is me. Seriously.
They're talking about economic data. I'm talking about human despair. And as far as that jobs report is concerned, how many of those jobs are jobs that somebody can support a family of four, even two on with?
A lot of them. That's the point. That's why he stood on a picket line.
Just one of those jobs. Remember, in the 1970s,
Well, actually,
the average American could work one job.
wages there, though, Marianne, did go up. In fact, much further than we thought. In fact, now people are worrying that they went up so much, the Federal Reserve might hold off on rate cuts. How do you feel about that?
What I feel about that is that the Federal Reserve is thinking about that top 20% a whole lot more than it's thinking about the permanent underclass that exists in this country.
Okay. And you're going, I'm counting on the people who identify as the permanent underclass to vote for you, even if they're not. Even if they're well-to-do, middle-class, white people in suburban areas who consider themselves Marxists, but either still live at home or having full ride payment for where they're going to college. Ugh.
We have an economic system now. When you look at the 1970s, Neil, we had a thriving
The 1970s?
middle class in this.
We had a thriving middle class in the 1970s? What happened to our when oil prices spiked in the 1970s? I'll tell you what, it gave us fucking Ronald Reagan. It's what it gave us. Good Lord.
This country. None of those economic data points.
Also, by the way, she lived in New York in the 70s because that's where her parents are from. I lived in Peaks Mill, fucking Kentucky. Don't talk to me about what the 70s were like. We had a dirt room in our house. We had, like, the floor was dirt. There was no flooring. We had 5 other rooms. They had wood. One of the rooms didn't have a fucking floor. We had to build it. Thank God my dad's an architect and I know my way around a hammer.
That you were mentioning point to the restoration of a middle class in this country.
The entire purpose is the rebuilding of the middle class. Jesus Christ, it's what he's been running on the entire time. Why the fuck do you think he's the first president to stand on a picket line?
When you have a majority of Americans who cannot afford to absorb a $500 unexpected.
All right. This lie floats around all the fucking time. Okay, I've mentioned this before, but the study that talks about this, first of all, it used to be 400, now it's 500. Now, people used to not be able to handle a $400 emergency expense. Now they can't handle a $500 emergency expense. And what it meant was, do they have cash on hand for that specifically? Do they have cash in the bank, savings, that in the next month, all their bills are paid and they have an extra $400 in cash for this particular emergency? Or do they have it, but it would make them feel weird, so they would put it on a credit card? Like the blossoming of what this means. Seriously, the company that did this study, you know what and I've mentioned this before, you know what they do? They sell emergency savings accounts to businesses for employees. They go to businesses and say, most of your employees can't handle, and they'll they spend all their money and they're a bunch of assholes and they don't have enough money if they have an emergency. So we think you should establish a special account for them, and then you can have that as a Benny when you're hiring people. And so we'll put some of their money in this account and it'll just sit there and we'll oversee it for you. And this is an emergency account. They can't take it out unless they have a provable emergency. That's the business they're in. That's what they do for a living. That company did this study. By the way, what happens to that money while it's sitting there and in between emergencies? All these employees all over the country putting their money in this emergency account. It just sits there. What do you think those folks are getting cash and putting it in an account in like a fucking box at the bank and just holding it there? Oh yes, and for a nominal fee, of course. Do you think it's just going to stay there, whatever? Or do you think these guys operate as a secondary fucking bank and loan it out to other people in the upper 20%?
Expenditure? No, things are not going well. You have the highest level of poverty, including child poverty, of course, of any advanced nation. And that's the point of this campaign.
Because our standard is higher, and all the comparable countries that you're talking about have a much smaller population. Also, they always bring in Sweden and the Netherlands in general with this, who have oil specifically. Yeah. And then start looking into their immigration issues.
Acquiesce to a narrative.
Still using narratives, essentially, if you want to talk about narratives, still using narratives about the Netherlands and Northern Europe from fucking 2005.
That serves an elite, that serves a few, but at the expense of the many. That is not the visceral experience of the majority of Americans. This idea that everything's rosy is not the experience of the majority of American people.
First of all, nobody's saying everything's rosy. The world just went through a fucking pandemic. The fact that he's managed it this well, or that you can just assume it would have just worked itself out, fucking just, on autopilot, the American economy will just sort of right itself, and then we can, sprinkle some fucking magic on it.
People.
If it doesn't
My campaign is for them.
I understand. If it doesn't work out for you, would you support Joe Biden?
I will not do anything that I feel helps Donald Trump get back into the White House.
So if
that's a yes.
You had a choice between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I think you've said this before. You'd go to Biden, even though he's all but ignored you, attacked you, and the people around him have humiliated you.
I'm a big girl.
Okay.
This is not about my being humiliated. You know what I mean? This is about our country.
Neil, my entire campaign is humiliating. So the external humiliation has nothing to do with anybody else. Like, believe me, it's plenty humiliating. Have you met my staff? I'm kidding.
The state of our country, and I'm sure you share that with me. We're grown-ups here.
Okay.
No, don't be too sure. Neil Cavuto plays a grown-up on television, but he isn't one.
Yeah, they have treated me worse than I would have expected, but that's not what.
No, they haven't. You've all but called him Genocide Joe. So the fact that they've just gone shoo is not an attack.
Makes me cry. What makes me cry is to see 600,000 people who are homeless every night. What makes me cry is the fact that we're provoking Iran right now.
We're not provoking Iran. We're literally not provoking Iran. We are not. We're not provoking Iran right now. Iran has specifically held back from Iran went, just so you know, after we attacked those the Iran proxies in Syria and Iraq, remember that, like a couple days ago, where we really hit those guys and the Houthis or whatever? The Iranians put out a statement that no Iranians were hurt in the attacks. You know why? You think they did that to fucking brag? No, they did that to protect their flank from their own people. To go, look, we don't have to attack America. They didn't actually hit any of our people. They hit those fuckers. Those aren't your fuckers. Our people are over here. America didn't kill any of our people. That's not bragging rights. They're saying that so that their own people don't demand retribution. The Iranians are like, yeah, they didn't hit any of our folks, so we don't have to do anything. We're not provoking them. They don't want to be provoked. As a matter of fact, the State Department, Biden, and even the fucking mullahs are like, they're like, we don't like each other, but we don't want to go to war.
What makes me cry is what's happening to all of those people in Gaza right now. What makes me cry.
Okay, let me cover this one more time. If you believe the death toll that Hamas puts forward, which you should not, but if you do, and you go all in and you say 30,000 people have been killed, half of them children, and all of them civilians, not a single fighter amongst them. It's so weird how the Israelis are in there firing machine guns and they're in this, one-to-one urban warfare, but they're not hitting any of the guys with fucking rocket launchers. They just miss those guys and immediately hit some dude who's like fucking selling food on the fucking corner. Let's just say you believe all that shit. Which is garbage. Understand this. The most densely populated place on Earth, 2.4 million people in an area smaller than Manhattan, and fewer human beings, even if you trust their numbers, which you shouldn't, have been killed than bombs dropped. There is no way you indiscriminately bomb an area that packed with people and have less than 500,000 dead. Not possible. And does anybody think that Hamas is undercounting the dead? Anybody? It's gross. It's fucking gross. You don't have to agree with everything that Netanyahu's doing. He's a fucking asshole. That's not the point. The idea that you'll just lay out a fucking blood libel on Jewish people and Israelis or Arab Israelis as if that whole country is all in on indiscriminate flooding with bombs and destroying everybody, and yet in an area, again, smaller than Manhattan, that contains 2.4 million people, the most densely populated stretch of Earth, places on Earth, where they've destroyed like a fifth of the buildings there. And still only, even like I said, even if you believe the most bloated number, there are fewer human beings killed than bombs dropped. And that includes like street to street fucking fighting. Check my math. I'm dead serious. Can I explain her accent? No, I can't, because she had a British accent when she lived in England for a little while, and I think she lived in Michigan for a little while after that. She's got good speaker voice, but you get what I'm saying. So the idea, by the way, and a reminder, For those people saying ceasefire now, when your heart's in the right place, I understand that your empathy has been weaponized by some awful people. But let me explain something to you. There was a ceasefire. Did you know that? There was, and I'm not talking about the humanitarian pause for the hostages. There was a ceasefire. Since 2018, there was a ceasefire. It stopped on the morning of October 7th. Hamas broke it on October 7th. And on October 8th, Yahweh Sinwar said, we'd always planned to break it. It was bullshit. You understand what I'm saying? And then they broke the temporary ceasefire. They broke that one too. Again, there is no situation where what's going on in Gaza can be described as indiscriminate bombing, because there's just no fucking way you would, in any situation like that, you couldn't indiscriminately bomb fucking Las Vegas and like one casino and have that many people, and not have, half a million dead in that area. If ever, during a crowded convention, not fucking possible. Does that make sense? So the idea that she's like, oh dear, the people in Gaza, for one thing, like innocent civilians, abso-fucking-lutely. But the idea that they're all innocent civilians, that the actual men holding rifles and holding rocket launchers and firing on shit and posting their rape videos on fucking Telegram are somehow, innocent civilians who are being caught up in something bigger than themselves, can go fuck themselves. That's garbage. Stop. None of these assholes calling for a ceasefire right now were calling for a cease rape on October 7th. Half of them were cheering it on. So piss off. It like, and this this fucking, it just grosses me out. In any conflict where there are two sides, and if one of the sides put down their weapons, the fight would be over. And if the other side, if they put down their weapons, they would be over. I'm for the side that would end up being at peace. And in this particular case, it's the Israelis. And in Ukraine and Russia, it's the Ukrainians. If the Ukrainians drop their weapons, the Russians would fucking kill them all. They've already said so. Same thing with the Israelis. Hamas has said so. And here's the thing. I don't mind that you care about Gazans. You fucking should. That's important. But if you just kind of like, October 7th, I mean, it's sad, but here, then you're selling something. You're not actually giving a fuck. It's a lie. The warmonger is the one who sides with the group that says, we don't rest until they're all dead. Whichever group is saying we don't rest, and I don't mean one person, one individual in the cabinet, or two fucking people, or three people at a meeting or something. No. I mean the charter. The Republican charter is anti-choice. The Democratic charter is pro-choice. That's a difference. There's no fucking uniparty when it comes to that stuff. We found that out in the election. It does matter. And by the way, she knows this when it comes to Biden and Trump. But when it comes to Israel and Gaza or any of the other things, she's like, too much noise, you're going to spill my latte. Fuck off. Other than that, I have no opinion.
Are much bigger things than whether or not my feelings get hurt by the DNC or anyone else.
Well, you say you're a big girl, but I've met you a number of times. You're actually a very thin and fit person, so I
What a weird, creepy, fucked... Neil, shut the fuck up, man. Ugh.
I think I understand.
What'd you say? I'm sorry, I didn't
understand
hear
you now. No, you say you're a big girl, but I've met you. You're actually very thin and fit. So maybe you're making a metaphor there. But we'll.
Yes, you specifically making a metaphor there, but don't forget I can toss my hair. Oh, Neil. This is where you go, it's a metaphor, Neil. Don't make a fat joke when I'm fucking talking about how to handle things. Good Lord.
See, Marianne, very good seeing you again.
Oh, it's always good, and thank you for having me. I so appreciate it. I wish you a beautiful day.
Well, I enjoy all points of view. Marianne Williamson, thank you very much.
No, he does not. Stop it. For the record, Neil Cavuto doesn't give a rat fuck about any policy ideas that Marianne Williamson has, nor does he actually care, actually want any of them to make it. Let's be abundantly clear. The only reason he brings her on is the same reason everybody on Fox does, which is she will strategically and regularly shit on Joe Biden and the Democratic Party and say they are anti-democracy, which gives them a soundbite that Donald Trump and other people can feed around going, the Democrats don't even like democracy. That's what it is. That's why you're there. So you can either come in there, know that's what they're going to do, and be very specific about when you're on there, not do the bash Biden, bash Dems shit that they want out of you, but to talk about your policies. That's what you do. If anybody's ever going on a hostile station in the future and you're going to run for office, and I hope some of you do, when you know that they're bringing you on just to shit on your own side, don't take the bait. The coverage might help you, but it only helps you if they know what the fuck you're for, not fuck the DNC. That's not a thing. That's not helpful. That doesn't actually build anything. Nobody watching Cavuto show is going to fucking vote for Marianne Williamson. And nobody who votes for Marianne Williamson is going to be impressed that she was on Cavuto's show. I am not wrong about this. All right. Just for the record. There you go. Yeah. Buttigieg is a great example of this. Go on there, and so does Gavin Newsom. He's fantastic. If you go on there, it's to fucking curb stomp all their dumb ideas and make them deal with the fact that you know what you're talking about and you actually have policy that will actually work out, and they have to go, fuck, you're kind of right. Other than that, I have no opinion.
Democratic presidential candidate Marianne Williamson.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian Kilby. All right. Let's see. I know I'm doing a, ooh, look at that chat. We're full tonight. Look at this. Thank you guys so much. By the way, hit that like. Help us out. Let people know we're here. I'm going to do one more clip, if I may. Mainly because we haven't covered the border bill part of it, except to, like this morning, I dealt with it on the morning show, went into some of it along with the silly video of the dude who's like reporting from the border. It's like, it's insecure. Then the fucking Border Patrol shows up and it's very organized and they know what the fuck they're doing. And there was no Texas National Guard. There were no local sheriffs. It was all federal, Customs and Border Patrol people. And he was like, oh, I guess the federal government is doing its job. Took in an hour, the dude never realized that he was like, huh, in about an hour, I'm going to find out what an asshole I was. Right? Okay. So the major's on in 5 minutes. Okay, I'll try and rush it. So this is, if I may, real quick, and we're not going to do this whole thing because it'll probably be too long. But this is not a border bill. Okay, first of all, you're right. It's not. It's a supplemental. The Border Act is attached to it, as is the anti-fentanyl bill. These are addendums, dumb fuck. That's because you can only squeeze one fucking vote out of these dumbasses, so you don't split everything up because they'll cave everything. There's something to hate in every bill. So one of the only ways you can get an entire bill through is to attach it to shit where the people who hate this part of it like shit in this other part. And you smack them together and it's a ride along. It's a fucking, what are the bicycles called with 2 seats? Whatever. The tandem bikes? Yeah.
Kilmeade, I want you to do me a favor.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Wrong video. Sorry. Here we go.
There's a lot going on. Let me start with the border news over the weekend. It continued to heat up, and let me just give you a few of the touch points here. More governors traveled to the Texas-Mexico border on Sunday to show their
Waste of time.
solidarity with Governor Abbott and the
Yeah, and it did nothing.
federal government.
Yeah, they stood in front of a fucking hold on. Let's try to do this. Yeah. They stood in front of a fucking empty field going, there's really not that many people, honestly. There's more people in our airports on a bad day.
Speeches were given directly at Ground Zero, and the media is dubbing it Civil War 2.0. So they were surrounded by the Texas National Guard, military vehicles, loads of razor wire, right in Shelby Park at Eagle Pass, Texas. Now, over on the federal level,
Also, who knocked the fucking headstock off your guitar, you asshole? Or did you just shove it into the wall? Whatever station that is? The fuck is going on? Wait, what's it? Guitars have a headstock, you dick. This is the neck. You don't have a Steinberger. They fucking... All right. Enough. That was for Johnny Million.
The Senate appears to have come to an agreement on, they say it's a border bill, but
no, they don't.
We'll get into the details here in a second. It's actually a multi-billion-dollar war package.
It's a defense supplemental, dumbass.
Do not be fooled by the name border bill.
It's not called the border bill. It is... the news is calling it a border bill because it's attached to a defense appropriation.
It's not.
You're right, it's not. And it doesn't even call itself that. That's not what it is. That's why it has a number.
Now, it does have some stuff to do with the border.
Really? That's weird. So maybe it is kind of a border bill?
Depending on who you talk to, it's both amazing.
Or who reads it.
For the border.
I've read it. Have you? Or are you just going to read from a list of talking points that people are sending around like, shit on this, and then people will get mad?
And the worst piece of immigration legislation in history.
That's dumb. No, it isn't.
It's weird how something could be both of those things.
Yeah, exactly. So one of you is full of shit, and I'm going to go with the one that see, if Democrats and Republicans negotiated this border bill based on stuff that's been in other border packages over the years, and it's very similar to a lot of that stuff. It's, it is... Think of it as like how a lot of people say the ACA is really Romney Care with an addendum or whatever. This border bill is arguably a wish list of stuff that Republicans have wanted, border Republicans especially, and Democrats have wanted for a long time, and they're just trying to get it done. So all those people could be full of shit for years and finally get this passed. And again, I've read it. It didn't take that long. And one, do you think this asshole actually read it? And two, do you trust that because he says so against all the other people who actually worked on it and hammered out the details and all that kind of shit?
Could it also possibly be that all of the border news happening right now is just a song and dance? Could it?
Well, it is if you don't pass something, asshole. Sorry, my left earbud keeps dying. Yeah, it's all song and dance because you mean the Republicans all saying they're against it when they actually want what's in it?
Be that no one is actually interested at all in solving the border problem.
You mean all the Republicans, maybe?
All the world is but a stage, and we are merely its players. Yes?
Oh, dear God. That's okay. People doing something just for show versus the idea that, life is just a play that we go through because we're not ourselves. We're portraying ourselves in the world. That's not what that means, and that's not what this would be. So people bullshitting is not the same as, all right, never mind.
Yes, that's what's happening.
No, it isn't.
For decades now.
No, all the people who support this, the Republicans who worked on it, actually support it. They're not fucking around. They're not lying. They're not just trying to get something through. As a matter of fact, they're more committed to actually getting something through because they had to work with Democrats, and they knew that, their own side would come for them.
The border has been enormous political capital for both sides in Washington, D.C.
How? It literally, how has it been both sides? How is the border fucking both-sided in this? By the way, how has the crush of people at the border or large groups been good for both sides in this? This is just, all right, this I gotta hear.
Republicans love it. Democrats love it.
No, they don't. What are you talking about?
And they never really cared about the impacts to our communities and to our states. Why would they suddenly start caring about it now?
Okay, so are you saying that the Republicans won't vote for the thing that they want to fix because it would fix it and then they couldn't use it for the election? Well, look at that. I agree with you. I don't understand the Democrat part of this, but whatever.
Well, because it's so bad. Uh-huh. So
what? Wait. What? Because the bill's so bad or the borders? Hold on. What the fuck?
Well, because it's so...
Hold on. Say that sentence.
Love it. And they never really cared about the impacts to our communities and to our states. Why would they suddenly start caring about it now? Well, because it's so bad. Uh-huh.
Okay, so the border there isn't a crisis, I guess, is the idea. Agreed.
So we sent our Blaze Originals documentary team down with the border convoy. And boy, did they learn a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that most truck stops have showers, but you don't really want to use them unless it's an emergency. Also, you can never have enough wipes. It's all trucker stuff. Also, get yourself one of those hemorrhoid cushions. Even if you don't need it, you might.
They were with the convoy, but the convoy led them to all kinds of other discoveries.
Uh-huh. Personal discoveries. The life-changing discoveries where many of our Blaze staff realized at that moment that they were truly a woman now.
About the standoff at the border between the state and the feds.
Which isn't happening.
We found something shocking.
Oh, boy. All right. Here it comes.
That no one is talking about.
Something shocking that no one is talking about. What could that be? Maybe that the Grammys don't reward music; they reward spectacle. Everybody knows that. I checked out on the Grammys years ago. I like some of the performances, but I checked out on who gets the award when Metallica lost. So fuck that.
We're being duped.
Uh-oh.
By all sides.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess you have to be like next level fucking gullible. You're being duped by all sides. Then they wouldn't be sides, would they? Why would, if one side wants you to turn that way and blame that side, and the other side wants you to turn that way and blame that side, are you just spinning? All right.
Here's one piece I can give you today.
All right, but somehow this has to, you have to explain any of this.
Consider this.
I, Glenn Beck, am an absolute shithead. Whatever.
Did you hear about a secret meeting? Did you hear that while reports of record amounts of illegals were pouring over our border, this was in December, Secretary of State Blinken held a secret meeting with Mexican officials in Mexico City.
Yeah, it wasn't a secret meeting. It was on they announced it. It was on their itinerary. It wasn't secret.
Now, it was reported that he traveled there.
For a meeting. But, when the head of the State Department actually travels someplace, it's usually for a meeting. He wasn't, you might be confused because Ted Cruz goes to Mexico all the time, but it's never for a meeting. It's usually just to avoid his own state when there's an emergency.
But the full contents of the meeting were not disclosed. We have no idea.
Well, we do have idea because there was a policy change.
Why is that?
Because you didn't pay attention to the State Department answering questions about that?
Was there an agreement that was made? Were concessions?
Yes. Yeah, they were talking about this particular issue.
handed over? If so, what did we give up?
Also, what do you think? First of all, let's look at the premise of this entire horseshit, fucking crazy nonsense that he's talking about. Join me for a moment, will you? This is allegedly stuff that his intrepid Blaze staff found out along their many stops on their way from South Carolina to Texas as part of the convoy. There is no fucking way that anyone involved in the convoy is wise to something going on in the State Department that was not released to the general public. What the fuck are you talking about? I have it written right here. This is from the Washington Post.
Why isn't this meeting discussed in the media when they talk about Civil War 2.0?
Because it's totally unrelated. Why would it be? What the State Department talking to the Mexican government is something that actually fucking happens and is on Earth 1. And Civil War 2.0 is a jerk fest for prepper assholes that you can sell 10-gallon drums of cake batter to.
Or when the Senate hails a landmark border deal. What happened in Mexico? Could all of this just be a charade?
Get on with it. No.
For the people.
No. While they're dealing with legislation to change the border, if it doesn't go through, the State Department and the Biden administration are working on ways to deal with the problem using whatever methods they have in diplomatic uses. The state fucking, God damn it. Jesus, this is lame.
Our Blaze original documentary team might have the real answer for you. The full report is coming out in a couple of weeks. But
in a couple of weeks? In a couple of weeks? It's a crisis, you dumb motherfucker.
But we will
tell us so it can be solved.
We'll have more on this on our Wednesday night.
And he means moron. He really does. When he says moron, he means moron.
TV special. This is all breaking news.
If it's breaking news, then fucking say it. There's no such thing as breaking news 2 weeks from now, you tit. Oh my God. What the hell? Breaking news. By the way, how is KC 101? Are they still... Does their spare recording room, their spare radio room still smell like feet, ass, and cigarettes? Or
in our world...
Yes, so not Earth One.
And we'll give you all of the full details as we gather everything and make sure it's all buttoned up. Now,
well, then why'd you bring it up? If it's not buttoned up yet, what are you fucking talking about? Say it. What? It's written right there on the fucking paper.
The senators revealed a $118 billion emergency national security supplemental.
Right. It's a supplemental. The vast majority of the funds in it are continuing funds. The emergency part of it is that it has a border aspect attached to it. It has Ukraine funding attached to it. And it has Israel funding attached to it. And those things are kind of happening right now.
Appropriations Act. Wow. So it's an emergency. And it's about national security.
Right. So why did Trump tell him it can wait?
So what did we get? Well, $118 billion national security supplemental appropriations act would give $60 billion in aid to Ukraine. Wait, what? So it's $118 billion. Half of it goes to, I thought emergency?
Yeah, the fentanyl and the border stuff is less about how much money is spent there, because there's already a lot of fucking money spent down there. It's what powers the president and the secretary will have, and a change in the asylum rules, which are drastic. And also, it does hire more people. It broadens the standards. They already have funding, but they can't fill the roles because of the older standards about security clearance, because Homeland Security technically oversees the CPB.
National security.
No, sorry, it's a CBP.
supplemental bill. I thought that national emergency was the border.
Yeah, the problem with the border isn't funding, fuckwad.
Because wasn't that why he needed emergency powers?
Yes, the powers aren't the money, though. Money isn't the issue. It's the change in policy. That's what makes it an act versus just the budgetary aspect that it's attached to. Are they all this fucking stupid all the time? Am I just been riding along this, just living in my own little happy bubble that well, no. I'm kidding. Glenn is one of the best examples of people who are dumb and conniving. He's the perfect combination of scheming and naive.
Border? So half the money goes to aid Ukraine. They also allocated $20 billion into securing the U.S. southern border. Okay, so wait.
Also, on top of all the funds that are already there, which is a ginormous leap from the last budget on the border. You think that's all the money for the fucking border? That's an extra $20 billion on top of what we already allocate for the CBP.
So 3 times the amount goes to Ukraine.
There's an actual war happening. A war. Tanks and shit and drones and bombs and missiles.
Also, $20 billion for the border, $14 billion in security assistance to Israel, and just to make it all fair, $10 billion in humanitarian assistance for civilians caught in the conflict zones of Gaza.
Huh. Fucking Genocide Joe, there he is again. Like an asshole. He's willing to sign this thing, that doubles the aid to Gaza.
Oh, well, that's... Okay, wait, what?
Okay. The border bill itself was not about funding, never was. They're still adding $20 billion to it. But it was a change in the policy around both asylum and how to deal with people and all the Remain in Mexico and all that kind of stuff. And remember how Trump saying all he has to do is enact the shit that's under Title 42. This is a bridging of the powers available in Title 42 and the powers available in Title 8 and sort of a middle ground between the two that cannot be found illegal by international law, so we can expel as many people as we need without expelling everybody and giving Donald Trump some sort of magical fucked up powers. And they had to thread the legality of it very finely to protect against, psychopaths like him possibly getting a hold of these reins in the future.
$4.5 billion, almost $5 billion, to support key regional partners in the Indo-Pacific to deter China.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's money in there for submarines too. You pissed about that?
$2.5 billion to support U.S. Central Command operations in the Red Sea.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's an emergency supplemental. You might notice that there's the Red Sea's kind of active these days. It's earning its name, you might say.
$3 billion for Ukrainians and other refugees displaced. $400 million for the Nonprofit Security Grant Program, which helps nonprofits and places of worship to make security enhancements.
By the way, money that he himself has used. He has. I'm not kidding. During the Afghan withdrawal, remember he went over and pretended to be there when he was actually in Qatar in a fucking fancy hotel room, and he shot his show up against a wall over there and had other people fly in there, and they helped coordinate with this like group that was just getting Christians out of Afghanistan. I'm not shitting you. They were only evacuating Christians. Can you imagine what that was fucking like? How do you fucking check that shit?
It would also require the Department of Homeland Security to nearly shut down the border. Now, listen to this. Nearly shut down the border. What does that mean exactly?
Do you think this asshole's going to say what's actually in the bill, or do you think he's going to misread it like a fucking wow, ruin it for you?
Well, it means that we're not going to shut down the border.
No, we're not going to shut down immigration into the country. The border can be shut down based on these factors, which would not allow people to come in across the border anywhere. Anybody across the border and does not have permission, doesn't come through a port of entry, doesn't file an asylum claim in another country and then go through and already have their shit adjudicated, cannot come in, period, end of story. So the southern border is effectively shut. It's open to regular immigrants, including people who have had their asylum claim adjudicated already while they're in Mexico or another third country, and then they come inside. Now, it will not, by the way, shut down fucking LaGuardia or LAX to international flights.
But nearly do it. Now, not today, but that they can do that if the migrant crossers increase more than 5,000 a day on any given week, or if the average daily encounters reach 4,000 people a day in a 1 week span. So,
yeah, you're right. He just said those two numbers for the same period of time, effectively being the same thing. So if over a course of a week, if the number exceeds 5,000, it will, or if it's over 4,000, which I think 5,000 is, and I'll have to check, then they can close the border. Okay, 4,000 is the secretary's job. At 5,000, the president can do it using basically executive power. It's the same fucking thing. If there's over 8,500 at the entire southern border combined for a day, one day, 8,500 people try to cross the border in one fucking day, all along the southern border, Tijuana to the fucking Panhandle, then they shut down the border. One day, 8,500. There are dozens of days when we've had that at one point, especially at the biggest crossing days. And on those days, guess what? On those days, they could shut it down for months at a time.
If there's 4,000 people,
this motherfucker's trying to walk back or walk around what he just
for
said.
6 days, they can't shut down the border. I'm sorry. They can't nearly shut down the border. At a rate of 5,000 illegal immigrants.
Of course, the border isn't ever shut down in that sense. There's always trucks coming through. There's business to be done. There's legal immigration, legal passage back and forth between countries. People with passports, people with visas coming and going. People who work in Texas and in fucking Mexico going back and forth because of business all the fucking time. You're not going to shut those people down. That's what they mean by nearly.
Immigrants entering the country, that would mean more than 1.8 million illegal aliens would
it wouldn't
be coming into the country every year.
No, it wouldn't.
But remember, I haven't gotten to the nearly shut down the border. This is...
By the way, this is there. He's still using the math. You can tell he's reading tweets. So he's still using the math of 5,000 people will be let into the United States every day. And that's, so many a month and then 1.8 million every year. It's fucking stupid. It's not anywhere close to what it says. And this is, if they have 8,500 encounters in one day or 7 days in a row where they've had 5,000, it basically overwhelms their ability to process, expel some people and let other people who have a literal, like a genuine asylum case, or they've fucking lost their ID and they're actually Americans and they need to come in and there's this process for them to get that back and all that kind of stuff. That's a lot. There's a bunch of shit that happens. If that peaks over 5,000 to where it overwhelms the system for more than 7 days in a row, then they can shut down the border entirely. As for anybody who goes there, it goes back to, we just immediately expel everybody. The other thing this bill does, by the way, is that if your asylum claim is not adjudicated in 90 days, in 3 months, right now there is no limit on the time it takes. It's just you hang out until they finally get to you. In the new bill, if they don't adjudicate it in 90 days, you're out. It defaults to a denial. Do you think this motherfucker knows that? Or if he read it, he pretended he didn't read it? By the way, right now it's below 2,500.
Solution today to let an additional 2 million people.
They're not letting them in. They're not letting them in. This is encounters, and they don't have any. And again, he's going back to the bullshit people believed before the 5,000 number.
Just come across our border. Okay, we're a little sick of the 4 million. I think we're a little sick. Let's Let's slow it down. Let's just do 2 million. Oh.
That's not it at all. And also, he's quoting the recidivist numbers.
Okay. Now, Chris Murphy from the Democrat from the great state of Connecticut, and I mean that, being here, it is a lovely, lovely state. What they've done with the trash is just wonderful. It really is.
So he's in Connecticut selling books, maybe?
A requirement of the president to funnel asylum claims to the land ports of entry when more than 5,000 people cross a day. This is what Murphy is saying yesterday on X. The border never closes, but claims must be processed at the ports. This allows for a more and more orderly, humane asylum processing system. So, got that? So if it's more than 5,000 a day, then they have...
Sorry, somebody's saying, what did you say back there? I missed that. Somebody said that that 90-day limit means everybody will be denied. That is illegal against our international agreements. No, it doesn't. That's why there's funding to deal with more people. They will adjudicate it. Also, people are supposed to file in Mexico or in the first safe country they come to. So the process starts well before that. If they skip it and they come in the United States, you can tell early on whether they had a chance to genuinely file in these countries. That was part of the meeting with Mexico. If you're in the country for 90 days and they have to go through your shit and they can't adjudicate it based on the fact that you just blew off Mexico, came straight to the United States, more than likely you're not qualified and you know it, and that's why you went to the front. Just so you
have to be processed at the ports. That's the nearly closing the border. Oh, okay. Well, that sounds really bad. This is what, Langford came out and he was like, everybody's saying this is much worse than what we said it was going to be. I challenge the people to come up to me and tell me what is worse.
This motherfucker doesn't even know what's in it. You couldn't explain better or worse.
Well, he's kind of right. Remember when the media was saying, it has none of that stuff in the bill.
It doesn't.
That's an outrage. That is disinformation that those things are in the bill.
It is. That was. He's still doing the math of the bullshit 5,000 people let in a day.
Yeah. Langford, it's probably not worse. You've confirmed everything that we said was in it, that you all were saying, wait until you find out what's in the bill, because that's not in the bill. It's in the bill.
It's not in the bill. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying. Maybe he's just fucking dumb. It's always hard to tell with Glenn. You know what I mean?
Oh, my gosh. With people like Langford, who needs friends? Seriously. Who?
What? You don't have any, Glenn. You don't have any friends.
Who needs friends?
Says Glenn, alone, chest covered in crumbs, sipping a warm root beer out of a plastic cup in Connecticut in his hotel room that's really nice, but no one wanted to go to dinner with him. So he's drinking out of the mini bar, but he unplugged it when he came in the room because he'd watched some video saying that's how they spy on you.
I'm a little confused.
All the time.
I'm going to have to get with the speaker's team and to find out what part would be worse than what we had expected based on the actual text. It's not worse. It is the text that we said it was, and you said it wasn't.
No, it isn't. It absolutely is not.
Oh, my God. Stu, can you just take over for a sec? Because I'm going to have an aneurysm over here in the corner.
Yeah, here, Stu, try to explain what the fuck he's talking about. Stu, the bar is really high. Try, if you can, to be as dumb and full of shit as your boss is.
I mean, on that point, you're totally right. Like, there was this big pushback from these people who were negotiating it, Langford being key in this room, saying,
are 5,000 people guaranteed to be let in every day? Is 5,000 the minimum standard? That's what you guys were saying, and that's what he just did the math on. You're both lying, or you're both really fucking dumb. And the weird part is, I think it's both.
oh, you guys are just acting off of rumors. You're acting off of internet posts. You're acting off of false reporting about what's in this bill. I would never allow this to be in this bill.
And he didn't.
And then they released the text of the bill, and I mean, to the number,
nope.
Almost every single part of it is exactly what was reported. I mean,
nope.
It's bizarre.
It's not even close. Read it again, you dumb motherfucker. Stu, read it again. Draw it again. Draw it again. You want to ambush me? I ambushed you with a fucking cup of coffee.
I will say, when you get to the point of talking about it being worse, I would include this in the worst description. Tell me if you agree with this. There is a provision in the bill that would allow the president. Now, you might be you might not know, but Joe Biden is currently the president of the United States. Okay, so this would be under his authority. There's a provision in the bill that would allow the president to suspend the shutdown authority. It says, quote, it authorizes the president to suspend the border emergency on an emergency basis for up to 45 days if it's in the national interest. So what do you think happens when we get across this 5,000 barrier? Every time he at least suspends it for 45 days, and God only knows if he can.
First of all, no. What color's the boathouse in Hereford? How the fuck should I know? Okay. Stu seems confused that there wouldn't be a provision where the president can both invoke this without the power, without the secretary invoking it, and can revoke it without asking the secretary, because he's still, wait for it, the president of the United States. The president has executive authority over his cabinet secretaries, over the department heads. That's all. Would you rather that the president of the United States had to do whatever Mayorkas said?
Do it consecutively and in perpetuity. That's probably what would wind up happening.
No, it wouldn't. Why? I'm dead serious. If they did this tomorrow and it hit, there was an 8,500 mark, and they were like, "Yep, we hit that mark right away." And Biden said, we have to close the border and work on this, and we can't allow anybody else in, and we're not gonna process it. You might hear some squealing from like immigration advocates and some other folks and stuff, but believe me, their plate is fucking full. They have plenty of people in shelters and all sorts of other places to work on their cases and make sure that their asylum claims are heard. But like, they could take a fucking break of the people coming across the border. Let's be abundantly clear. But does this asshole actually think that Biden would go, nah, let him keep going. Give me the power, but I'm going to take it away. As soon as the secretary enacts it based on the standard in the law, I'm just going to revoke it. Get the fuck out of here. Why would he?
Though I'm not sure about that detail. I mean, look, Glenn, you look at the bill, and there are things in here that theoretically would make the situation a little bit better. I mean, there's asylum improvements that
Yeah, isn't that funny? That actually changes the entire standard and raises it so that people can't just skate through. That's weird.
Could be part of an eventual bill.
Sure. But do you think that eventual bill will give the power to invoke this or revoke it only to the secretary in charge of the border? Or do you think the president should have a say in it, dum-dum?
They say that.
Or do you want it? Or are you just you know what it is, Stu? You just support the deep state, I guess. Unelected bureaucrats getting to telling the president what he can and can't do.
Yeah. I mean, why even discuss? It's a non-starter because of things like this.
Mm-hmm.
According to the bill.
Okay, according to the bill, and this is him reading someone else's reading of it.
If you cross the border illegally, you get arrested, and then Department of Homeland Security, they decide that you're entitled to protection. They're now able to give you automatic employment authorization.
Yeah, until you have your asylum hearing. Now, a couple of parts in addition to that. They say the asylum hearings are going to come faster, so no more 2032 court dates.
There's a 90-day limit.
Do you believe that?
Yes, it's in there. Right next to the fucking thing you just read.
I mean, this is the problem.
No, it isn't. The problem is that you can't read, Stu. You and Glenn can't read. You can skim, you can browse, you can blather, but you can't fucking read. Welcome to the world of Bongholio. That's where you live now, dum-dum. And yes, I will, absolutely, Andrea. So I'm gonna sign off, kids. I've got the jam tomorrow night, so I will not have a show tomorrow. Sorry about that. I adore you guys, and I will be back on Wednesday with our regular shows, and we have plenty of great guests this week. It's very exciting. And right now, I'll see if I can get a raid going in here somewhere. And I gotta find them first. I need to let's see if we can do this. There you go. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna throw to Liberal Dan when I sign off, if that's cool, and you guys can jump over there if you feel like it. And until next time, take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. I know I kept you late, but I got feisty. What do you expect? I got feisty. Thank you guys so much. Hit that like on your way out. Thanks everybody on YouTube. Bless you guys. Subscribe. And thanks for the YouTube memberships. That was really nice. Peter, thanks so much. And BC Kodak, we're very excited to see the 3D imaging. I'm very excited. All right.
I like fighting number 2.